A year ago, we launched a series here on News Nation focusing on missing person cases that were not getting national attention. We are continuing that series every Thursday here on News Nation Live. And this morning, we are revisiting a case that still remains a mystery nearly 16 months later. It is the story of a young geologist named Daniel Robinson, who vanished in the Arizona desert. And in a moment, Daniel's dad, David, will be joining me live. But first, a look at Daniel's disappearance. Tonight, we start our series, Missing in America, taking you to where the people were last seen, meeting these families and bringing you their stories. And we begin tonight with Daniel Robinson.
This is the area in Buckeye where his vehicle was found. This is remote. The terrain is extremely treacherous.
Daniel Robinson was 24 when he disappeared, a geologist working his dream job in the Arizona desert. A coworker says Robinson left his job site on the morning of June 23, 2021. His Jeep, found a month later, crashed in a desert ravine. Robinson's keys, cell phone, and wallet were still inside, his clothing in a pile just outside the vehicle. But no sign of Daniel.
I do my job and find my son. He's my son, I'm his father, and it's my job.
For nearly 16 months, David Robinson hasn't given up on that job, searching the desert and bringing in his own private investigator. They took News Nation's Nancy Liu to the crash site. The investigator says too much doesn't add up, including red paint transfer on the side of the Jeep.
The vehicle was tipped over on the passenger side, so there's no red paint in this area. So how that got there, that's why I'm saying that vehicle did not crash here. That vehicle was, its last place of rest was here, but something was going on with that vehicle.
He notes other inconsistencies in the crash report.
The vehicle had 11 additional miles on it from the time the airbags deployed. It had 46 additional ignition cycles on it after the airbags deployed.
But Buckeye police say there's no evidence of foul play and have resisted a deeper investigation. The private investigator is also no longer on the case, but Robinson has finally convinced an outside law enforcement agency to go through Daniel's computer and cell phones for any clues.
They saw some of the things that I was seeing, and they wanted to look into it themselves.
While he waits for any information, he holds vigils.
As you guys know, I've been here over a year searching for Daniel.
And has organized dozens of searches.
Still don't have the answers that we're looking for. But we thank you for coming out here. It really means a lot to us.
Covering more than 23,000 acres, using four-wheelers and on foot. On at least two separate occasions, volunteers found human remains, which turned out not to be Daniel's.
Even though we didn't find Daniel, but it gave you some relief a little. That, we was able to bring some other families some type of closure.
He raises money on GoFundMe and takes every opportunity to speak about his son's disappearance.
I'm just here to bring awareness to my son's case.
Even appearing at CrimeCon in Las Vegas. Robinson has created a robust social media presence, a sophisticated website documenting coverage of the case, and weekly live online updates, all to keep his and other cases in the spotlight.
I'm blessed that I have a small platform, especially on YouTube presence, as well as TikTok and Twitter. In that doing so, I'm able to also help other families. I had other families on my Q&A to be able to tell their stories as well.
This Army veteran with a new mission in life, one he says he'll never give up.
And no matter what, we will not leave a soldier behind. My son, he's my son, and I'm definitely not leaving him behind. That's thank you.
Local police investigating continue to say they have no evidence of foul play in Daniel's disappearance. Joining me now is Daniel's dad, David Robinson. David, you and I have spoken a number of times over the last year since Daniel's disappearance. By watching this story again, finding him must be all-consuming. You changed your life, moved across the country to search.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Yes, it's been very trying for me and my family, Daniel's siblings, his mother. It's been very trying being out here trying to get the answers that we're looking for. You can imagine after a year now still searching for Daniel and not having all the answers that we're looking for is very troubling in our mental state. It's really, really hard. struggling and working with the law enforcement on the outside of Buckeye, trying to get more law enforcement more involved to a point where there's an urgency there. I'm still looking for that urgency after a year. A lot of urgency that will definitely give me more answers, but I'm still on the job. I'm still on the job, putting on my investigative hat, as well as being a father, but also being able to help others as I'm taking this journey.
David, I said a moment ago, Buckeye Police, they have a timeline on their website. They say they're still actively investigating, but there's no evidence of foul play. After all of your investigative work and being so close to this case, do you believe that?
Well, according to my investigator, I did hire a private investigator, and all the information that we gave them from tangible evidence of the red transfer paint, for instance, 11 additional miles, pressure on the windshield, the fact that we don't even know it's Daniel's clothing that's on the ground, haven't been forensically tested. Those type things will, in my opinion, based on my family knowledge of my son. I've been there from the time he was born. We have a great indication about the way Daniel thinks. So you put all that things in combination that will suggest foul play. Against what the Buckeye Police Department feel, I feel there's more to the story.
And you questioned, David, the timeline as well. What stands out to you that may be inaccurate about the timeline?
Well, one of the biggest things is the person that's last seen a person should be, that story should be vetted very well. And we later found out in my investigation, his story just didn't match the timeline. He said my son left, for instance, the well site at 9:15, but yet my son made a phone call, his final phone call to him at 9:28. Those calls and the desire my son sent a text message to ask for the location came unanswered. So again, like I said, my son called at 9:28. I'm assuming to ask for direction. So the timeline is not right. When the timeline is not right, you really have to scrutinize that story a little more.
David, this is a tough question to ask, and I'm sorry for asking it, but do you feel as though Daniel is still alive?
I have to. That's the only one that's one of the things that keep me going. Is also crucial for my family, his mother. We're people of faith. We believe in God. We believe in miracles. Though sometimes I look at everything that I have evidence-wise that would suggest other things, I still keep that hope and that faith because we don't have those answers of where Daniel is located. So I always have to keep that faith that somehow I'm going to bring my son home alive. And I really want to believe that. And I'm going to continue to believe that.
I appreciate that. And David, as we look at pictures of Daniel on the screen, there's one video that I just love where he's standing outside and snow is falling on his face. He's got this great big smile. I want you to share with people at home your son, his personality, who he is, and what you miss most about him.
Yeah, Daniel's very free-spirited. You probably can tell by the pictures. He's loved by a lot of his friends. He's a very friendly person. He loves nature. That's the reason why he's a geologist. That's why he came out to Arizona. He wants to be able to be in tune with nature. Also, he's a very family-oriented person. He definitely keeps the family together. Like I said, he shows a lot of love to his family. We love him back. One thing I miss the most for me, on my perspective, is having a conversation with my son. My son always come to me. He come to his mother. He calls all the time. We keep in contact with each other. But for me, just having that 2-hour conversation that we normally have, where he's asking questions, he's wanting to know things, he get advice, his entrepreneur spirit, what he want to do in life. He always plan things and always look on the positive light. I miss those things about my son.
And do you think about what you would say to him now if he could hear you?
Yes, of course. I've been here over a year searching for you. I'm not giving up. He's my son. I love him dearly. I'm here to fight. That's what fathers do. He know I have his back, and I'm here for him. No matter what, I'm definitely here and want to make sure I bring him back. And I'm not going to let anyone stop me. I want him to know that.
Amen. David, you have become such a powerful voice for so many other families that you have come in contact with who are also trying to find their loved ones. What has that support and getting to know these families meant for you and giving you hope in your case as well?
Yes. One thing, there's always something light at the end of the tunnel. It's definitely been a long experience. But in that experience, when you're a person that just have a missing loved one in your family, you're unaware of what other people are going through as well. I found out this is not unique to my family. There's other struggling families that don't even have a voice, So be able to talk to people all the time and hear their stories, it caused me to be passionate. I couldn't be human without answering those calls. I just want to be sure that I'm helping the other families as much as I can through my journey, doing everything I can. That's the reason why I have the Daniel Robinson Foundation. as well as other events and things I do to try to make sure I can get other people's story out there. Very passionate about that. Want to help everybody I can. It's my duty and my journey as well to be able to do that.
Well, you're a great dad and you've got a big heart, and I know you've got a big support system behind you as well. And the most important thing is keeping Daniel's story in the headlines. We're glad to partner with you as you do that, David Robinson. Thank you for giving us some time.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
My best to you. And if you have any information on the location of Daniel, if you have any information in this case, the Buckeye Police Department are still actively investigating. You can also go online to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. And you can follow our...
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son.
And I'm currently still searching for him. Thank you guys for coming in this morning, Q&A. My name is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son Daniel, a native of South Carolina, graduated from the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. My son's graduated in the field of geology, graduated with honors. He decided to take his career out to Arizona. He started off in Phoenix, Arizona, where he landed his first job with an engineering company called Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. There, they hired him on as a field geologist. They also call him a hydrogeologist. And what Daniel does, he go out to various well sites all across Arizona to check the viability of those wells. Those wells have to produce at least 100 years of water. Every community that is built have to have these wells. By law, they have to produce, like I said, 100 years of water. My son, a scientist, his job is to determine those wells, those groundwaters can support the community and produce those 100 years of water, as well as the company tests the water to make sure those waters are drinkable for that community. On June 23rd of 2021, my son was doing just that. On his company computer, he received assignments to go out to these 2 well sites that day. He had one off of I-10. Both was off I-10. One was off I-10 near the Verrado Way. If you guys are in Arizona, you know what I'm talking about, in the Verrado Way area, off of that area and that side of the Buckeye. And he went to the first well site according to his company. Daniel did take some pictures of a log. I don't know if that's something that the company asked him to do. That's the first time, only pictures that was there on his phone of him taking pictures of logs there. Also, he was assigned to go to a second well site after completion of that. According to the only person that saw him that day, the last person that saw him that day, his name is Ken. He was the guy that works for a company called Weber Waterworks. He said that Daniel met him out on Sun Valley Parkway in that area where the second well site is outside of the Sonoran Desert. And my son followed him into that desert from the shoulder of the road. They went 1 mile west and 2 miles north, where they arrived at the well site that they was be working at 9:00 a.m. By 9:15, he said my son waved off to him and was gone after a brief conversation about the weather and some other things. Of course, my son had been missing now for almost 2 years. I put in a missing person report. My daughter called me on June 23rd. That evening, I was in South Carolina at the time. She's in Phoenix at the time. And she said that one of Daniel's coworkers, who is a worker at Matrix New World, One of Daniel's off-the-job friends came by the house, came by her apartment, and inquired if Daniel was there. She thought it was strange, first of all, because she was really shocked that this person knew where she lived. The other party is to hear the story that Daniel was not seen from the whole entire day up to that point. And so, of course, she reached out to me, told me about what was going on at the time. She was really uptight. We did our due diligence. I had her to go check Daniel's apartment and also to see if he was there and also to make some phone calls. We made phone calls, call his mother, call his other siblings, and also friends, try to get in contact with anybody we can and see if anybody heard anything. Also, I called Daniel's job to inquire more information on that front. Without any success on any of those, of course, that was the first thing was to, from the report from my daughter when she got to Daniel's apartment that evening, she knows that there was a light on inside the living room area. Daniel's vehicle was missing. His doors was locked. She knocked on the door. There's no answers, of course, and that made me want to get a welfare check. I reached out to the Tempe Police Department because my son at the time moved out of Phoenix and moved to Tempe. He was a Tempe resident for a while, for at least about a year, and so I reached out to the Tempe Police Department to ask for a welfare check. I needed somebody to go into that apartment and make sure no foul play or something happened. He's not answering his phone. His vehicle's missing. His lights is on in his apartment, and so we want to make sure that everything's okay in his apartment. Okay, of course, when I was putting in that report, I'm asking for that request. I did mention some of the things that I learned from Daniel's coworkers. They asked, of course, when I asked for the welfare check, was he asked anybody seen him last? I told them that the job said he was working that day near some White Tank Mountains. Once I said those words, she said, well, that's not our jurisdiction. They would not be able to do a welfare check. I need to call Buckeye Police Department. So end up calling the Buckeye Police Department around that time, also to try to get the welfare check, also to put in a missing person report. And the reasons why, because I looked at the timeline, you guys, I was in South Carolina, and in June, South Carolina's 3 hours ahead of Arizona. So I look at the time that the job said they last seen. They said around 9, 10 o'clock that morning. I look at the time difference is over 6 hours. That's something Daniel would never, ever do. His personality have never been that way. Daniel have never, since just childhood to adulthood, even in college, would never, ever go anywhere without telling someone, his friends, his family, all of us would know in one form or fashion where Daniel is located, or what his plans are, his travel plans, etc. With all of those combination of things, his apartment, his lights on. What happened the day before with the Waffle House situation, you guys, was still in our mind. With all those combination of things, we definitely wanted to put in the missing person report. And once I'd done that with the Buckeye Police Department, they denied it as well. They told me I had to wait a extra 3 hours because I was calling too early. It's supposed to be a 12-hour report time. So I had to pace my floor for 3 hours before I could actually call back again to get that missing person report done. Once I got the missing person report in, I started working with Officer Cruz at the time. He was a night officer. He told me he was going out to ask some questions to call. He got information for me to call Daniel's job and try to inquire with some of the workers there. Also, to other information that whatever we can give him to give him some leeway to make these phone calls and get information. Also, he said he and another officer will be going out to Sun Valley Parkway. That's the first time I ever heard the word Sun Valley Parkway, to go up and down the road in that area where the White Tank Mountains are, and go up and down the road to see. He says it's a very long road to see if maybe Daniel's stuck on the side of the road. So they did go around in that area and check that area out. Later on, doing my due diligence still, I found out that even more information, really strong information, that Daniel was not missing on the side of the road somewhere. He actually was missing in the desert. I didn't understand the geographic area. Of course, I have never been in that part of Arizona, period, at all in life. And so, of course, when I found out, they say no, it was in the desert of Arizona. And this is off of the Sun Valley Parkway. And that's when I called Officer Cruz back then and asked him, hey, look, tell him the circumstances. My son never been there before. What I learned from his company, my son, as you guys know, I never ever mentioned Daniel too much about him born without a right hand. But those things had to come into play as well. I did reach that out to the officer. Hey, my son could be in danger. He had never been in this area before. You guys need to go out there and search for him out in this desert. He's been gone for all these hours. Nobody knows his vehicle is. You need to go out there with a helicopter and search for my son. The officer crews told me at the time they would not be able to get a helicopter out there at night. Though I'm a military guy, we fly Black Hawk military fly at night and also in the dark without lights. It was kind of hard to hear that, but of course, I don't know the limitations of the Buckeye Police Department at the time. So yeah, they said they couldn't do a flight at night, but they will do it in the morning. Of course, I paced the floor the entire night, you guys. Very hard to do. Working with the law enforcement at the time, calling all the time, every hour, just constantly calling and getting updates, trying to do everything I can to help law enforcement to locate my son. The next morning came, a new officer came in. I believe his last name was Haley. Talked to him again, trying to get information out to the public. I've been fighting for that the whole entire night to get them to get information out about Daniel being missing. Maybe somebody's seen something and can do something. Of course, that took a little struggle just to even get that thing going. But the problem is that they told me they was going to have a flight that morning. Of course, the officer told me yes, they was going to do it, but then he called me back about an hour or so, 2 hours, and said, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, this helicopter flight has been canceled, been unauthorized because his higher ups said that it's unauthorized because Daniel's a grown man. If he want to disappear on his own, he can." Of course, hearing that assumption, something that they told me that they didn't tell me that Daniel said that directly to them, but this is some of the things they came up with their own assessment and their own idea about my son. After hearing that from my experience with law enforcement, from my childhood growing up, I can hear that voice of people who do not want to act on, take the urgency in that act. So I had to take those urgencies and those acts upon myself. Daniel's my son. He's my child. And I had to go rescue him myself. So the first thing I did, you guys, is grab everything without thought, everything I could possibly grab through it inside my vehicle, and then started heading out west. I've been traveling while I was traveling, of course, talking to family, talking to Daniel's friends, trying to talk to my children, called his mother, working with law enforcement, trying to do all of this stuff while driving. Made it up. It was a long road. Trust me, guys, it was a long trip, very long trip, very hard. But I actually made it. It was all about the drive. I was getting into an emotional point. That's when I decided to treat my son's case like a mission, something I learned when I was in the military, something we learned from basic training to our experience, going to war, etc. Those type things you learn how to stay on a professional level, especially on being a professional soldier. You have to put those emotions to the side so you can stay effective. You got to keep the mission first. So I decided to make my son my mission and make sure that I do what I knew, because I knew just hearing the law enforcement reasoning, they were not going to do anything for my son. So I had to go work with them. Of course, we need law enforcement, but at the same time, I knew I had to go do it myself. So I made it to about time I was making it to Arizona. Got close. So this was on the 26th of June. I did get a call on the cuffs of getting into Arizona. I didn't make it quite to Phoenix yet. I did get a phone call from my auntie. She was very excited. She was an auntie in Pennsylvania. And she was very excited that, hey, David, we had a Venus Firebird helicopter. We have that helicopter. She was very, very happy about it. She says a Venus Firebird helicopter. I didn't know what it was, but just the sound of it sounded like a really fast helicopter. And I was really happy to hear that they was finally going out. Now I know Buckeye have it. They went out on the 25th, but according to our records, is on the 26th that they say they had this Phoenix Firebird helicopter going out, and that's right when I was coming into Arizona. Think about it, 3 days after my son went missing, they decided to put that bird in the air, they say. Of course, hindsight now, you guys, I put in a FOIA with Phoenix Firebird, the Phoenix Police Department, and to date they say they cannot find a record of that. Still looking. The last time I checked again, they're still looking for records of this flight ever happening. But for now, I have to accept what the Buckeye Police Department have in their report, and say, hey, yeah, they almost 3 days after my son went missing, that they put themselves, my son, they just started going search for Daniel. Too late. You guys, like I told you guys, some people would say the first 24 to 48 hours is the most crucial points of finding a missing person. That is somewhat true. I say it's a lot earlier than that. I say that the initial hours is when the person put in the missing person report. I was talking to some people just yesterday, and also before, you guys, when a family member have a missing loved one, 9 times out of 10, they already did their due diligence. Police don't need to go do due diligence to find out the little small particulars that say that this person is actually missing, because it's almost calling a family a liar. If a family know the pattern of their loved one, they know they just don't. This is something that's unusual. They know the limitations of their loved one. They know all the ins and out about the emotional standpoints of their loved one, because they are more close to that loved one, a lot closer than coworkers, a lot closer than people in the public. I think even Buckeye used a person at a Waffle House, if they had never been before but once, but allow a worker there to make an assessment about Daniel, off of visiting him, seeing him for the first time. So things like from a kid who just seen him for the first time. So you guys make an assessment, but when we got family that says XYZ, they're not willing to take those things. They're willing to come with their own assumptions. He's a grown man. He wants to disappear on his own. Nobody tell them that. They come up with their own assumptions, and they make you wait. And the guys, also the other problem with that as well, with that time wasted, is when law enforcement tell you that you have to wait 12 or 24 hours to report. That's them again trying to take charge of a situation that says, no, you need to make sure, do your due diligence, make sure. No, you already did your due diligence when you called. That's the reason why you called. You did your due diligence. You know your person is missing. That's them again doing that, wasting precious time, telling you wait 12 hours and things like that. And a crazy part of guys, especially like with Buckeye, telling me to wait 12 hours. I pace that floor for 3 hours in pain and agony. And then to find out they don't even have a policy that says that. They have to set that report immediately when the person called in. There's no 24 hours or 12 hours of wait or nothing. So a lot of times, you guys, when these law enforcement tell you those things, you have to make sure, because they would tell you these things. It's not even a policy. It's not even a policy. It's not even part of their system. That is something that law enforcement tell you, in my opinion, try to come up with their own assumptions, or they just don't want to do anything, or they'll come back, to making their own assumptions, that type deal. So that's all precious time missing. And I know for a fact, if those precious time was taken seriously, I doubt that Daniel would be missing almost 2 years now. I really believe that in my heart. If action would have been taken a lot faster. So with family, like I said, you guys, I tried really hard to get urgency there, get things going, get the ball rolling really fast, and those balls been rolling really slow. With law enforcement, they have the proper equipment, they have the resources. Even small departments like Buckeye have the resources. You have Maricopa County, who's the county of that part of the state. You also have neighboring law enforcement agencies that may have some of those resources, like Goodyear, that's close to Buckeye, Surprise, and some of you guys in Arizona know what I'm talking about. Even all the way down to Phoenix, like they say, they use the Phoenix Firebird. So those things are very important when it comes to your loved one being missing. Is to make sure that law enforcement put that urgency there, no matter who you are, no matter what your social status is, no matter what your color is, your race, anything, your religious preference. Make sure they do their job, and make sure they do it quickly, because, like I say, every precious moment, every precious second matters. If you're going to be just like me and my family, almost 2 years later, still searching for Daniel. As a father, of course, I'm out in Arizona doing what I can as a father and working real hard. That's another thing, you guys. You have to make sure that you also are being participant into your missing loved one. You reported them missing, stay on law enforcement's behind. go out there and do some research yourself as well. You have to go out there and put some work in as well. I would not advise anybody to sit back and throw their hand back and just call law enforcement, wait on law enforcement. Like some person told me before in the past, have faith, David. And my faith is a lot different, you guys. Some people's faith is just like this. Hey, have faith, David. Just come back, South Carolina, sit back, and God would bring down you back home. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. So you guys, I tell you what my assessment is. You have faith like I do. You put actions to your faith. I believe that if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to get all the answers, and then I'm going to bring Daniel back home. Exactly. So that's the way you approach missing person cases. I just wanted to throw all those things out because those are some of the important things. But I want to tell you guys, thanks so much for coming in. East Sands, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that coming in on this Q&A. Also, thank you, Valerie. God love you. Thank you, really appreciate it. Please, God, send Daniel home. Yes, he will. I do have that faith. Thanks so much. Also, Tracy, thank you again for being here this morning on this Q&A. Also, PM Channel, thanks for constantly coming in. Appreciate it. Good morning to you. Good morning. Yeah, good morning to the moderators. I know you out there, my team as well. Thank you so much, you guys. I love you all. Also, to Estina, thanks so much for being here this morning. Good morning to you as well. Brooke, thank you for being here. Thank you for thinking about our family. I really appreciate it. And you guys, in preparation of me coming down this comment section, what I will be looking for is questions this morning. I want to start it off really quickly. I know I'm in 40 minutes in already. I just want to really answer some of your questions. So if you have questions, please, you know what to do. Put the capital letter Q before your question, the word question before your question. Also question mark. So when I'm coming down really quickly, I can actually identify which are questions and which are not. And I want to try to get as many questions as I can. Sometimes, depending on the time length, I have to move kind of fastly. So that would determine if I, kind of move kind of quickly and I may miss some of the comments, but I don't want to miss the questions. So you guys have any questions, please, by me, like I said, put the capital letter Q or question mark or the word question before your question. And that way I can identify it as it coming down. Again, thank you, Brooke, for coming off the YouTube side. Good morning. Thank you for thinking about my family. Maltese, thanks so much. Hello to you. Thanks so much for coming in. Also, thank you, Pacific Breeze. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Barry, for being here. Thank you so much for being the vice president of the Daniel Ross Foundation as well. Board member. I had to give you titles. Also, you've been a board member, like I said, Daniel Ross Foundation, also a team member and one of my friends. I really appreciate you and I love you. Thanks so much for being here. Good morning to you. Also, thank you, Anissa, for being here. Thanks for constantly support. Thank you for these. Oh my gosh, constantly support this channel and everything I have done. And I want to say it again. It was very nice to meet you, and I'm really grateful that you came out to the search. Met you and your husband. Very wonderful people. It is always good to put a face and an actual person to the screen. When I see your name on the screen, I see the super chats and things like that, but it's also to actually see your personality, see you there. I can feel your personality through your love and support. But at the same time, it was really wonderful to actually see you in person and could feel it. So thank you so much for coming out to search, you and your husband coming out and support that search on the last month on the 25th. So God bless you. Good morning, Mr. Robinson, moderators and chats. Good morning to you. Thanks so much, Anissa. Again, God bless you. Also, thank you, Shauna. Thanks so much for being here. Also, the secretary for the Danny Rosser Foundation, 18 members as well. And my friend, I really appreciate it. I love you too. God bless you for being here and moderating. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. I know why you said that. Thank you all for being here and your continued support. Yes, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you so much. God bless you. And don't forget these hashtags like Shauna have here, you guys. Hashtag Justice for Daniel. Things going forward. That's what I put here on this Q&A for this morning. Where we gonna go from here, you guys? That's been over 48 weeks of searches, over 35,000 acres of lands covered. I still haven't tallied the numbers that we did from the last search, but all the efforts, you guys, all the thousands and thousands of flyers all across this country, you guys, it's flyers everywhere. Getting the flyers out, the billboards that was out, all the efforts of going to these events, just everything, you guys, doing all the interviews, following leads, investigating, all the stuff that's been going on since Daniel been missing. Where do we go from this point, you guys? I know a lot of people like yourselves have been following Daniel's story since day one. And, hey, look, we haven't still found Daniel. When I say we're a family community. When I started searching for my son, I know that I identified really quickly without law enforcement. I needed a community, and the community showed up. You guys showed up, and you've been with me ever since. So it's us. We're a grassroots movement here to find Daniel, and I really appreciate it. Daniel is America's son. As I said before, it's not unique to what happened to Daniel. It's not unique to my family. It happens to a lot of other families. So he's just a template of what happens to a lot of Americans, where you get those disparities there. You don't get some of those actions there that is needed. My son is America's son. You can see what's happening in this case. Despite the fact that Daniel's case went nationally, I'm still out begging for certain things to happen. That's amazing. Where you can see some things in certain cases with certain people, things happen automatically, really quickly, really loudly, get so much action, and people are found quickly, really quick. If you see those quick actions that happen in some of these other cases, what I just talked about earlier is exactly the way that template should be for every case, where they should be acting the same exact way for every case, and then we will not have so many missing people in this country. So those are some of the solutions, but of course, you guys know my other solutions as well as those departments within the departments. But we'll talk about that sometime soon. But thanks so much, Shauna, for putting that hashtag for justice for Daniel, because going forward, where we're going to go forward is we're going to make sure we get this justice for Daniel. It's been almost 2 years now. And we're not going to just let things stay the way it is. I mean, get little movements here and there. Like I said before, you guys, and those always sound like just hitting police is really hard. But the thing is, I'm not a person who's satisfied with hit and miss. The urgency wasn't there at the beginning, but then we went to search like I was supposed to give them applause, and then you wait 2 weeks after that and do another search, and I'm supposed to give you applause, and then you wait till the vehicle showed up, and then you say, "Hey, I did this extensive search," and I'm supposed to give you an applause. That's your job, first of all. Just like me being out looking for my son, fighting for Daniel, fighting for his honor, fighting for his name, his justice, integrity. That's a father's job. There's no reward I should get for that. That is something that you do as a father. You automatically do it. That's what your life goal is. That's what your birthright as a father. You're supposed to protect your family. So when it goes to that point, but you do your job. Just like I'm doing my job, I expect law enforcement do it. They don't get any reward for that. So just doing things in order they feel like they're okay. So hey, look at you guys. I did a search. I see some of those, I call it photo ops, when they put pictures up on their site and they do the photo ops. And so the community say, oh, wow, they did this, Yes, grateful. Thank you so much. But what else you did? What is the substantive things you've done? Why I'm still holding on forensics, for instance? Why I'm still holding DNA evidence? Why these things are not being investigated? I can hear the word investigated, just like faith, you guys, is a action word. Investigating something is an action word. I want to see actions behind it, not just the word. I want some active investigation as well. So that's what's going forward. And some of those remedies to do that is to get my son's case removed from the Buckeye Police Department. They did so much damage as it is. I'm not concerned at all about their egos or their appearance or the department's appearance. I'm just concerned about my son being found. And to better do that, to put it in better hands, it should be in another department. So I'm really pushing for that. So that's where we're going forward with that, you guys. And also to make sure those things are happening. Make sure these forensics are done correctly. I don't need just a swabbing of a steering wheel, a swabbing of the door panel, whatever they did, the shifter. We need those airbags tested. I need those forensics done on the clothing items that was found outside the vehicle that me and my family don't identify. We need to find out we need the cell phone pings, where my son was the phone was located on that day. We need to have the Uconnect information actually there. I don't want to hear this zero grid stuff. We need to find out what happened to my son, and we need to make sure that law enforcement go forward. And Buckeye is not either willing to do it or unable to do it, and that's definitely one of the reasons why they need to release my son's case now. Don't hold it for hostage no longer. Make sure they're not holding my son's case hostage for their own purposes, and go ahead and release it. So those things, I did send a letter out to law enforcement to put that in paper in black and white, you guys, and there'll be some other remedies to make sure that happens. So right now, that's what I'm working on. But thanks so much, Shauna, for putting that up just for Daniel. And also thanks, Sophia, for being here. I know you guys recognize that So Fresh smells. Thank you so much for being here and also being the treasurer. See, I got you right this time. Being the treasurer for the Daniel Rosa Foundation and also, like I say, 18-member board member. Thanks so much. And my friend, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Love you too. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning Q&A. Please help find Daniel.com. You guys go to the website. You'll find a lot of information about Daniel's case and also ways that you can help. Barry, thank you so much again. David, thank you for being such a stand-up man and father. I really appreciate that. And, that means a lot hearing that from you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. You say it to me all the time. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Also, Tracy, thanks so much for being here. Justice for Daniel Robinson. #. Thanks so much. Thank you, guys. I see that the hashtag is starting to stick. So thanks so much. You guys follow along with that. If you put it on your social media, that'll help with algorithms and things like that to keep Daniel's story out there. So, and that's the name of the game, you guys. That's the reason I'm doing this Q&A. That's the reason why I'm out there doing all the interviews, running around doing all the stuff, because I'm telling you something. One thing is not allowing that my son case become a cold case. Cold case to me means that when, and I'm saying it this way, and I'm not dumping off any family. What I'm saying is, if a family don't seem interested and they relying on law enforcement to do something, law enforcement, they need motivation. I'm telling you guys, because what's going to happen is once the media go away, once the story kind of slow down, the media's taking no interest anymore. The community is not really showing interest, and especially if that family is just relying on law enforcement, they're not showing interest other than calling them so often to say, "Hey, did y'all find anything?" Guess what law enforcement will do? Well, we ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing right now, and they'll throw your file, that your person's file, in their closet somewhere. I don't know, evidence closet, whatever they call it, and some old file with dust on it or something, and they'll get to them when they get to it. The person that you talked to on the phone today might not even be working there no more. Maybe retired. If somebody else picked that case up years when you probably gone, and go back through it and then try to work that case and see if they can come with some answer. They're called cold cases. To sit back there in the back closet somewhere, in a dark closet or whatever of law enforcement office, and don't get to it whenever they get to it, whenever they feel like it. If they get bored, I guess, say, hey, you know what? I'm a young detective. I want to pick up one of these cases, like any, many, mo type deal. I'm assuming in my mind how I think of it, and they go through those files and say, hey, I'm gonna pull this case and try to work on it. But it's a cold case by that time, so I'm not gonna let Daniel's case turn cold like that, because first of all, there's so much about Daniel's case. You guys hear the case. You guys seen all the stuff that we gave physical evidence to law enforcement. There's so much that need to be investigated, and so much things to look into. And that's one of the things going forward as well, is to make sure law enforcement does that. It ain't I'm not satisfied with just a search. We did all these searches. We really been looking. Thank you. I've been really looking too for over 48 weeks with volunteers on the ground. We actually found things though. Law enforcement haven't found a construction cone out there, you guys. I say that a lot. But we found human remains bringing clothes for other families. We found evidence out there, somebody else's clothing. You guys don't hear about a lot of stuff in the social media or on news. My searches, we found clothing items out there in the same manner Daniel clothes were found. We thought it was a serial killer or something at the time. We report that to Buckeye. You guys don't hear that about that. We also found I found 2 cell phones near where Daniel went missing. That's part of the forensics I had done through Tempe Police Department as well. Those cell phones. So it's like, so we find things out there where law enforcement say they had all this, especially Maricopa County as well, had these cadaver dolls and search dolls. And like I said, the way I look at it, are you really looking, excuse me, even with all of that, are you really looking passionately for a person? Because it's impossible if you're really passionate, looking like the people that was out there in that 118 degrees with me side by side all day looking, right? And we found these human remains, we found these items and things like that. We always find these things. And, are you passionate looking, and that's the reason, or not? And that's the reason why you're not finding things. I don't know, because I know it's kind of hard with all the equipment and technology that law enforcement have, and they haven't found a construction cone, a pink elephant, nothing. I don't know. But we are finding things as passionate people who are actually looking for my son. That says a lot to me. And so that's why I say you have to stay on top of these guys and make sure things are done right. So, all right, thank you also, Shauna B. Shauna, thank you, Shauna, again for putting this information out. Let's get those questions, you guys, rolling with this Q&A. And I agree, say you guys have any questions, don't forget to put a big question mark. Don't forget to put a word question there or the letter Q before your question. That would help me as I'm coming down. I have one more person. Thank you, Team Wildflower, as well. So much. You're a very sweet and nice person. Thank you so much for being part of the ambassador program that I have. And you're the first person that actually signed up to say, hey, I'm going to be an ambassador. You guys, I will be doing that again tomorrow. I'm going to open up the ambassador thing again tomorrow. I had so much going on trying to get the search going. And so I stopped for a while, trying to get the ambassador program running. It's very, very important for my search for Daniel, but it's also helping with the Daniel Robinson Foundation. So T and Wildflower, you understand what I'm talking about on that. So if you guys want to come tomorrow, go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. On the front page, you'll see the Zoom link. I will make sure that Zoom link is working. And, I will be there tomorrow with you guys. Tomorrow, that'll be at, at 5 o'clock. Arizona time. I think I have it at 5. I have to look at the website again. I think it's at 5 o'clock Arizona time. That's going to be, of course, be early for California. I think it's 4 o'clock, of course, and so on. 5 o'clock Arizona, 6 o'clock Central Time to 7 o'clock if you're on the Eastern Seaboard. So, but just come out, you guys, if you can. I would adjust those times because time going forward this weekend. But I would adjust all the times from the Q&A as well as that ambassador program. But please join in and learn about what I'm trying to do with this ambassador program, because it's part of flyer distribution, but it's also part of helping to build a infrastructure for the Daniel Robinson Foundation. So you guys, I would like to see you guys come in and hear what I have to say about that. And thank you to Wildflower for being the first person to do so, to commit to that. So thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you, Larnell, for being here. Also a Daniel Robinson Foundation board member, the director of the Daniel Robinson Foundation. Thank you so much, first of all, for being here and also being my friend and also being part of the 18. I really appreciate you, sir. Thanks so much. God bless you. I love you too. And thank you for being here. Good morning to you and good morning to everybody. Larnell was saying. All right, E-Sands had the first question this morning. Thank you, E-Sands. As E-Sands have done here, you guys, put that big question mark there. That's what kind of things I'm looking for questions. Thank you, E-Sands. Have you tried to figure out any passwords for apps on his phone? They might wipe data from his phone, but accounts should be still around. And, and I have done that, E-Sands, been in and out through his phone. I had his phone forensically looked into before in the past, before Tempe took possession of it as well. And so I was able to get some stuff, some limited stuff from that phone in the past. And one of the things was I was able to get is this one app. I don't want to put the name out there because being that things being investigated, I don't want to put the name, but it's apps there on Dane's phone that does have location itself. I talked to the owners of that app, and the crazy part about it, you guys, is even the app. Remember I told you guys when I received Daniel's phone from the Buckeye Police Department, it was missing a lot of things. That phone, Detective Biffin gave me back that phone. It was missing the memory card that I bought Daniel some months before he went missing. He needed a memory card for more space. I guess he does his job. That was missing from the phone. All the information about the young lady, you guys know the Caitlin situation, that was wiped away from the phone except for her name. Her name, her first name, last name, her phone number is still there. But everything else, the conversation, you guys, that you hear that Buckeye wanted somehow white reason highlight their text messages on the phone. I call those distractions and also character assassinations, and it could be other things as well. But they put in their report on his side. That's why I say it's hearsay. On his side, those things was wiped off of Daniel's phone. So you develop. But the good part is I have phone records that doesn't match what they have on the report that she's saying going back for this. When I say not the wording, but the timestamps and stuff. But anyway, that was missing from the phone, you guys. pictures and possibly that he probably could have had it, but everything else was intact when it comes to our messages from everybody else, family, friends, etc. Those things were still there, but the Google history was wiped from the phone. Trying to use that Google thing to Google Maps or whatever to try to get information. That was wiped from the phone, and I didn't have the Google stuff, so I was unable to. I had to try to contact Google myself to get limited stuff. Where I was able to get some limited stuff that part of my investigation. But I will not be able to tell you guys what I found, everything that I got so far back from Google. But the thing is, at the time, but those being wiped for locations, you know what I'm saying? Location is map thing. And also, so like you said about the apps that's on the phone, I look for apps that have location as well. Instacart that he was working, so on. So I try to reach out to Instacart. Instacart is like hit the brick wall. You can't get past them. But all of that being wiped, it's something they told me you can just get off the app. Just like you said, I had access to his Instacart. He was working with Instacart, and that was wiped off the phone. So his history from everything was wiped from the 20 after the 21st, the 23rd forward, everything wiped. Like saying on that date, the 23rd when he went missing, the 22nd that was wiped. You know, guys. So it's ironic. This one app, like I said, is a location app as well. I talked to the owners of that. He was surprised, and he was really looking into his own app because he says he have never seen it before. Somebody wiped that off. You know, what I'm saying, got into that app, and that was wiped. So from that date. So some reason everything was missing from the 23rd on forward, right? And so the thing is, so that's what gave me a hard time to get any kind of location. But some reason law enforcement feel like that's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that being wiped. Nothing wrong that his pictures been taken off his social media. Especially only place where this young lady is, for instance, is on his Instagram. But that been wiped. His pictures and everything else that was on there was wiped, except his profile picture, sitting up on there. But everything else been wiped, right? So it's a lot of things being wiped. So from that phone and from social media, but to law enforcement is nothing to see here. That type deal. Their standpoint. But thank you so much for that question, E-Sans. Thank you again, Anissa, for the super chat. I really appreciate you again. God bless you. Question here, and thank you for the question too. You guys, just like Anissa did, and also E-Sans. E-Sans used the big capital letter Q. Anissa used the capital letter Q, and E-Sans used the question mark, the big question mark. Same way, you guys. That's how I could identify these questions. How did Daniel find out about this job, and how soon after graduation did he start his job? Daniel started. I'm starting the back part of your question first. Daniel started job immediately. When he graduated from college, I don't understand how this thing worked, you guys. But when he graduated, after graduation day, he had to travel to Flagstaff, Arizona, to do some type of class for his graduation. It's weird. Here it is. He got his till they actually send it to you. Going across the stage, do the ceremony stuff, and until he did this class. After he got to graduate, he had to actually travel. They sent him to Arizona to do some type of class. They had to take, I think, for a day or two or something, and then he's supposed to come back to South Carolina. We thought, but once Daniel got there, he said, "No, I'm not coming back." He said, "Hey, I can land at my job, and I'm gonna go to Phoenix, and he's gonna be living in Phoenix." Of course, fans were gonna feel like, "Oh wow, he just left and didn't see him come back." I was really happy because that's one of the things that I asked my children to do. But the thing is, how he got the job is the owners of Matrix New World. Actually, the mother, the lady, she's the actually owner. The husband is the part owner. But their child, the husband and wife that owns Matrix New World, their son is Daniel's friend. You guys, I don't know if you guys have heard this before. I said it in the past. Daniel got the job initially because his friend from college, they went to school together. Both of them geologists. They met each other in college. Daniel, one of his hanging out buddies, and everything else. I think they probably in the same fraternity. But that friend introduced his family's Matrix New World job to Daniel, and they hired him on. So his parents hired Daniel to work for Matrix New World. So that's why Daniel got the job there immediately. Once he got to Arizona for that class, and he went straight to work. So yes, he got the job through his friend and his friend's parents, who own Matrix New World. So that's the answer to that question. Thanks so much, Nissa. I really appreciate that. Also, thank you, Shauna. You guys, don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button. We're at 2.44 thousand subscribers. And the reason why I ask you guys, especially if you're new, you haven't been here, even if you don't plan to come back, just hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That help with the algorithm, help this channel get out farther. And my goal is to get Daniel's story out, keep it out there. And also, my goal is to help other families as well. You guys seen other families on this Q&A in the past. I always have difficulty getting people to come on, so that's why you haven't seen anybody for a while. You've seen some of my team members. I'm still working on it, you guys. It's still there. That's why you see on the introduction, I'm inviting anybody. Any of you that's listening now, have a missing loved one, you want to share a story, by all means, yes, just be here, and I definitely want to share your family story and help much as I can to get your loved one's story out there. Utilize the little platform I have. I know some people have millions of followers and all this stuff, but God bless us, this grassroots movement, to have 2.44 thousand subscribers, and if we can utilize that amount that we have to boost people's story out, boost Daniel's story out, that's what we do. So that's what I do here on this channel. That's what this channel is for. It's not an entertainment channel. It's an informational channel, and just want to be able to help many people. I want to say something real quick before I get you guys. This is multiple sclerosis month, and I have a friend of mine who lives in California. She's dealing with multiple sclerosis, and I hope I spelled it correctly, you guys. But she's dealing with that. She's battling that. And I just want to say to all of those, I know a few others, I don't want to say names, but you know who you are, that actually helps out also with Daniel situation. One in particular that I know that's constantly helping and dealing with multiple sclerosis as well. So I just want to kind of throw that out real quick. As a matter of fact, I have the shirt on, you guys, if you can't see this, but I'm fighting for her. She's a friend of mine in California. We've been friends for years. I met her when I was in the military. It's funny, we've been friends for years, but we never met in person. And that's something. Met her years ago, and but we're so close friends. She's been dealing with this thing, and I just wanted to kind of throw that out. I told her I would. I'm wearing the shirt today, to support her and anybody who's dealing with multiple sclerosis, and just wanted to kind of throw it out, you guys. So also just be aware of that, and also I think it's today itself is I saw my team put something up about I think it's some type of Women's Day, and that's what I want to throw that as well. But definitely, the multiple sclerosis, you guys, is this month here. So if you know anybody with multiple sclerosis, pray for them and support them, because it's a rough thing that they have to deal with on a daily basis. So thank you so much, you guys, for paying attention to that. Okay, all right, thanks so much. And I'm going back to these questions, guys. Again, if you have any questions, please by all means put the capital letter Q, the word question, the question mark, things like that. As I'm coming down the comment section, I can pick those things up. Also, I have one from Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, for being here. Thank you for your question off the YouTube side. Has Maricopa County Sheriff's Office interviewed Ken? I don't know. They haven't mentioned that to me. According to them, and the one thing is that with law enforcement, they're quick to say it's confusing. They'll say when it's convenient, they'll say, well, it's not our case, right? It's Buckeye's case, meaning that we're not doing nothing, on it. We might help, but we're assisting. But then when you ask for information from that department or something else, then all of a sudden they say it's a case going on or something. So you get confused. You don't know if it's a case or not. But so if it's a case, maybe they have interviewed Ken. If they feel like it's not their case or their involvement, I'm sure they have not interviewed Ken. So I don't know. I wasn't sure if Buckeye really interviewed Ken. I just look at it and they say they questioned him. When they say question, I mean, I question a lot of people. They question me and my daughter in the interrogation room, but I never heard them bring anybody in the interrogation room and things like that. He needs to take a lie detector test. I agree with that. I don't know if it's something that'll help, but maybe so. Yeah, you need to take some type of thing. But anyway, I would think it would be. Excuse me, guys, starting off already. I've been having some issues with my throat recently, you guys. I apologize. I can't tell you guys, apologize. I had been dealing with some issues with my throat, and it causing me to have a lot of itchiness and scratching in the back. Don't want to give, put out like that, but it's ever since we have, I'm back in South Carolina, and we have a lot of pollen. It started, I've been doing some yard work, of course, and ever since this pollen, I don't know if you guys familiar with South Carolina, but the pollen, I call it yellow snow. It gets really thick, and has your nose burning and so on and so on. And so I deal with that right now. So forgive me, guys. Turn the camera off and turn the mic off. I don't want y'all hearing all of that. So thank you so much again, Kathy. Has Maricopa County again interviewed Ken? I'm not sure. He needs to be taking the lie detector test. I would think it should be standard in missing person case. In certain circumstances, yes, I agree with that. It's simple. It's simple with Ken. Something I have done. And one of those simple things was just literally just trace the steps. I don't know what law enforcement have done. I know they say they did these searches, but you look at the report, they have not one time said certain things, right? A lot of things I have done. Information I got that they have so far, it comes directly from me or my investigator in the past. And you guys see me do videos on this Q&A where I actually trace those steps that Ken said before they tore the ground up. They got out there now. I did travel back and forth, did the mileage. That's how I found out where the real well site was located that I've been lied to for months. It's a lot. So this all you have to do is trace those steps. Listen to his story, trace those steps, go by what he said, and then you'll realize it don't make sense. Even physically. The things that he says is impossible to do, and it doesn't make sense. All right. I have some questions from people as well from a meeting I have. Why would a person be so concerned the way he said he's concerned? I have some questions. People say, if you're that concerned, why you haven't showed up to one search? There's a lot of things you can ask about Ken the day that my son went missing. Where the red transfer paint you guys came from? That's on my son's vehicle. Only equipment I know that's in the desert, my investigator said is one thing. Wherever that vehicle did not crash in that ravine, I mean, it crashed when somebody rolled it down there, but it didn't originally crash in that ravine. And, if you take the red transfer paint, you kind of look around. I haven't had it forensically tested. That's what I'm trying to get law enforcement to do. But if you look around and try to find out where the red transfer paint came from, sometimes things will pop up. God have a way of showing you things that will give you that great possibility that you can look into, right? Don't you guys know that Buckeye Police Department is so much into their shine to try to show the public, hey, I'm doing this search after almost 2 years of this well, right? I did that well. I went into that well and found those things in that well. I would say almost a little over a year ago. It's been a good long enough of time. You guys heard me on the Q&A preaching about showing you guys a video and stuff about what was found in that well and so on, so on, so on. And they finally did it this last month. Finally went and sat at well. That's Buckeye. They did it without telling me, but they went in there and told me after fact and put pictures on. I seen pictures. They showed the same disrespect they always do. They show you guys pictures of what they say they pull out the well, which is missing a whole lot of stuff. We talk about that too. But when they pull out that well, they showed you guys pictures of that. That was all for them. It's a photo op for them because it was for me. They would have shared those things with me first before they go public, right? And but it's not about that for them. It's about making themselves look good, and so on, so on. So, but I'm saying, if you guys look at what they have put up on their social media platforms, you go out there now, they're probably gonna race it because I'm talking about it, like they did before when they said we have no more leads to follow. They don't know, okay, they're not. They erased that off for their social media at the time, but I got a copy of that as well. But what I'm saying is, you guys look at their pictures and stuff like that, and I was happening to be looking at that stuff. I was really uptight about it. I said, why they put out on social media first without telling me that all the items that they say they pull out of this well, right? That's why I know they didn't show you guys everything that we saw in that well. And I look at what I have been doing investigative wise is going out and to find out how I can, since law enforcement wasn't acting, I'm trying to find out a way I could go in that well and pull those items out of there and see if there's a human skull at the bottom of that well. If it's, God forbid, my son or something. And the only company reaching out, trying to find out any company that can do that in Arizona, and guess who the company is that can do that? The only company at the time. I don't know what Buckeye used or who they use or whatever, but what I was told, the only company that can do that in that area is only one company, and that company is Weber, the same company that Ken worked for, right? And I think he's part owner or something. And that stunned me. That's why you guys didn't hear me say this in the public. That really stunned me. I'm like, okay. My thing is, I'm thinking it's really a human skull may be down there. I see the reason why the person dumped all this dirt down there. That's covering something up. It was a cover up, something being covered, all that kind of stuff. And in my opinion, the way I looked at it, and I feel if a company that could pull something that heavy out of that well could put something that heavy in that well, right? They have the equipment to lift those things up and drop it down in there. That's exactly how they got it out of there. You see, look at the picture on Facebook. They have this big machine crane with a grappling hook on it. So what it does, it go down in there, grab whatever, pull it out, right? Crane. And so when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that is crazy to me. So that's how they pull those pipes, that big heavy pipe out of there, those heavy other things that's down in there. They pull it out with this crane. But guess what color the crane is? Red. Red. So now I'm looking at this thing, you guys, and say, look, that crane that if it's Weber uses is red. They're the ones, the drilling company. They're the ones dig and put things in and out or that well, dig that wells. And is that where the red transfer paint came from? Daniel trying to get away from them, or something happened, whatever the case may be, and the vehicle sideswiped that crane, right? So you look at the picture, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't hear Buckeye relating anything. I don't hear. That's what I'm saying, you guys. It kind of kills me to see how detectives. And that's because I'm saying, you guys, it depends on the mentality, what they really feel. Are you really investigating, or are you trying to find ways to say, still, I believe this is a missing person case. Well, explain it. Where did he go? People do not disappear, right? Plain missing person case. People don't just vanish off the face of the earth. What happened to him? You got to find out what happened, right? That still don't excuse a responsibility to help if you feel that way, which is ridiculous. But it just still don't excuse a way for them to go actually really find out what happened, investigate. So the thing is, yeah, just looking at that and hear how law enforcement still will say, no, y'all, look at what I did. We pulled this out, and then here it is, the evidence probably sitting right there in your face, and you just ignoring that, but you want to make sure everybody see you and laying the little stuff out on the ground, take pictures of it, so people in the public can say, oh yeah, they went in there and resumed this well and pulled some little coins out. That's what I call it, coins, because it's some little small item. You guys saw the big stuff that's in that well. They put the little things out, little coins, like it was, oh, we found out but let's put a couple screws and bolts on the bottom of the well. What happened to all the other stuff that you guys seen publicly that I had to resume in that well? I had an underground camera, and they tried to talk to me, law enforcement told me, like, man, we had this camera. Now, Buckeye said they had this camera going down almost 1,000 feet. I'm like, you're not telling me something new. I've been in that well before Buckeye have been in that well, So it's like an insult. Like you ignoring the hard work and efforts that's happening over here with the grassroots side. They actually find the information, but you're sticking to that and say, they say they went 1,000 feet, so they did a good job. I don't care if you went 2,000 feet, if you're not not finding anything, really looking for evidence and pulling evidence and marking and detailing and dictating, and like I have doing and inventory things that's in there, and look at it from an investigative standpoint. Why there's a mound of dirt sitting on something flat surface, that means the dirt was thrown in there after to cover something up. You see the big pile of dirt sitting outside the well, where the dirt came from. Why are you taking one side of that mound and dump it down in that well? What are you trying to cover? If you hear do an interview with the person who actually does well inspection, they say have never seen anything in the life of their whole entire career, because wells do not have that much dirt in, and they don't do things like that. That's a suspect to them. From an expert, like they try to use the word expert, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing you're doing. I think I did more detective work than law enforcement itself. So maybe when law enforcement, I still bring this up again, when Buckeye Police told me that the FBI said that you, Mr. Robinson, are doing such a great job on your own, we don't have to come in. I may have to start reconsidering that. I may have to reconsider that maybe that's what the FBI did say. Maybe that's what they did say. I didn't want to believe the FBI would say something like that. But when Buckeye told me that, I had to look at it again, you guys, say, maybe I am doing a better job, because so far I am doing a better job than law enforcement. They went to search. You count their searches and the details of their search. They came up empty-handed. You count the number of searches we have and how many things. And you guys, we had almost 7 or 8 human remains count. If you have multiple vertebrae, you can tell. I have a battle. They battled me, guys, for months to bring it down to y'all only found 2 human remains out there. They tried to number those numbers down. That's law enforcement. I'm saying, you guys. It's no competition for me. It's bringing somebody's family member home. So to me, I hope they just did the right thing with those human remains. I don't care if it's 10 of them. I hope they all one of them. And if they did the right things, Buckeye, which we don't hear nothing else once they receive those things, or they even come pick them up at all, we don't know. But the thing is, hopefully they did the right thing with these people, human remains, and bring these closures to these families and make sure that these families get back to their loved ones. So hopefully that happened. And sometimes I wonder if they haven't even happened too, because we go over an area again twice, and the same remains that we sent up to them before through my website, it still remain on the ground. That's somebody's loved one on the ground. So those are the bones they said was human. So and it still remain on the ground, and hopefully they go recover those people's remains. Also, did I miss that question again? Did I miss anything else on that question? Okay, no. Thank you, Anissa, so much again for super chat, and thank you for your question. Did Daniel have an iPhone? No, he had an Android. And if so, has anyone looked into accessing his iCloud account and the various apps he may have downloaded into his phone? But he has Android, so it's a lot easier. I know iPhones are a little more complicated and things like that. So, but it's a lot easier. So, all right. And let's see if any more questions. I'm going to put this comment here from Pacific Breeze. The fact Daniel had not been into that area is important. It is where Daniel's Jeep was for almost 3 weeks. You know what? When I first that Jeep was first found out there by that rancher. And then I had to hear the Buckeye Police Department's ludicrous theories they had about what happened. And, it's almost the way they were telling me, like, Mr. Robinson, your son been out there for a whole month, I guess, right? So I'm like, you thinking my son is literally y'all say he got a little something under $5 worth of gas for some reason at the gas pump that morning. So you want me to believe he was driving around for almost 30 days with around the desert, and they just couldn't find him, and then he finally crashed into this ravine somehow. because what it was double talking me was saying a couple things. I already knew the rancher at a certain point, saying that he was there 2 to 3 days before, right? Which he said 2 days before the vehicle showed up. He was there. He found the vehicle on the 19th, so on the 17th, he was out there with his trying in the same spot, you guys, same ravine. He pointed out that ravine that vehicle was found in is because his cattle goes down that ravine, and he's right, because once I started doing search in that area, he's right. When they go down that ravine, they end up into this corral that's south of where that vehicle was found. That ravine goes down and dumps off into the Hossapa River, Wagner Wash, Hossapa River. But the cattle go down there because, everybody know the deserts, Arizona have rivers, but those rivers don't have water in it. But certain time of the year, the monsoon seasons or whatever, right? But they don't have any water. So those that ravine definitely don't have any water at all. But the water do rushes through there. But anyway, the cattle goes through that down that ravine because it's downhill, and it goes down to, like I said, to the corral that he feed them at or whatever you do, catch them or whatever. And so he was there 2 days before that. The vehicle wasn't there. That he says, according to his story. And then also he came back the second time on July 19th. That's when it was there. So they want you to believe that vehicle was, they said it had two stories. They were saying like he was driving around for 30 days, but then at the same time, they're saying that he was his vehicle sitting there for 30 days, right? The rancher said also he's a fourth generation cattle rancher. That's his land out there, his family land. He knows a lot. He was raised up in that land, so he knows how people dump things out into the desert all the time. He told me, and he can tell the ones that been out there for a long length of time is it has desert dirt, or he called it desert dust on it. He said that vehicle was too clean when he saw it. It's like he thought it just happened to him, the guy who was with him or whatever, worker. They was out there yelling for whoever the vehicle belonged to. They said they was yelling for, they thought it just happened. Somebody wrecked their vehicle into that ravine or something, and it's sitting on the side, and the person's still in that area. So, because he said it was too clean. So those details means a lot to an investigation. Those details mean a lot if you're really an investigator. You're really invested into finding out what happened to this person, right? Common sense stuff. I'm really invested because he is my son. Of course, I'm gonna be super invested. But law enforcement supposed to be super invested about their citizens too, right? So you don't hear no swelling information, you guys, on the Buckeye Police Department's a report about the details of what this rancher had to say. This guy sent me and my investigator, gave us a hour, almost 2 hour long detailed account of everything that happened. He swears by it. He said he would go to court on it. This was a recorded meeting as well. So the thing is, what happened to Buckeye? You guys asking like certain questions, like what do they interview this person or talk to this person? You don't see any of those in the report. You see it the way they put it. Say a rancher found it, blah blah blah. And they kind of skip over that so they can keep that narrative going that they want to have. That Daniel just a missing person. He wrecked his vehicle. Here's his stuff, your family. There's nothing to see here. We did what we can. We had the searches. We're done, right? And so, again, the fact that Daniel had not been to that area is important. They themselves said they believe Daniel had a head injury. He wasn't considered from Buckeye Police Department as an endangered person, not one time. Even with that, they said they gave us everything. Where was Daniel's Jeep for almost 3 months? They at the same time want you to believe, like I said, for 3 weeks, for almost a month there. They still want you to believe that vehicle was there for that length of time, right? Despite the fact that they claim it at the same time, they said they want you to double believe. Now, the vehicle's right here in this spot, but we searched this spot 2 times prior. We searched it almost 3 days after they were missing, and also 2 weeks after that. We searched this exact spot, this area, and it wasn't here. But at the same time, we're telling you guys it was here for almost 30 days. They want you, they double talk. They want to say it was flipped and rolled and all that was sitting there for 30 days on the side. They accept the finding of the 46 initial cycles after the crash. They say, let's pretend the vehicle crashed down, and that was the first crash, the only crash. The vehicle was lying on the side. They want you actually to believe that Daniel was somehow sitting in his vehicle while the vehicle turned on the side in the driver's seat, you guys, with his foot on the brake pedal and starting this car 46 times while it's lying on the side. I would say, experiment wise, you go take your car and push it over on the side, and you go sit in the passenger seat with this high side. Make sure it's the car lying on the passenger side now. You get on the high side and you sit in your seat and see if you can sit in the seat and press the gas or the brake pedal and crank it up 46 times. For what reason? First of all, and how's it even possible to do? Right? It's impossible. They want you to believe that too. But knowing those things, they still in their mind. Law enforcement will say, nothing to see here. No foul. I don't see no foul play. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Him sitting in this seat on the side or whatever the case may be. Same time they're saying, hey, he had a with the flip roll, they say it was a full roll. How many times you guys seen in the accidents out there in the road where a car flipped over and you can hear them say, this person came out without a scratch, no blood in sight, right? Without a scratch. Again, hero stuff. You guys saw that I went through the examination of the vehicle myself. My investigator did a damn good job on that vehicle, but I did some assessments myself, not even touching that vehicle, I don't see that vehicle twice. I told you guys, stay away from the vehicle. I'm talking about assessment as common sense stuff. Real simple stuff law enforcement do. I Googled it. Google that sunroof panel. What Buckeye was saying, the glass that's on the ground came from the sunroof. That vehicle do not have a glass in the sunroof. They have panels. This is a Jeep Renegade. They don't have glass in the sunroof. That glass supposedly came from the passenger side. I don't believe that either. I mean, from the driver's window, but I don't believe that either. There's another story in there. I can tell you guys on that too when I examine that. But the sunroof don't have a glass, you guys, and they have panels. And the only way you can get that panel off is you have to use a key that comes with the vehicle. It sits up there, like most cars have in the trunk. They have the little part under there where you keep the spare tire, but that's the spare tire not under there. But they have a little box where they keep this key. Is a special key. You need to unlock that panel before you can move it and lift it off of there. They want you to believe that if after all this accident was rolling, twisted, and without an injury, then unbuckled himself out of the seatbelt, I guess, and kicked his way out the sunroof. He used his superhuman strength and kicked his way out the sunroof, brain injury and all. Kicked his and they believe kicked his way out the sunroof, got out, and he shredded his clothes off because he believed he was hot because the brain injury makes him hot. Another part of that brain injury story is that I have a brain injury myself, you guys. I suffered from when I was in Afghanistan from an IED blast. And I have a brain injury. Not one time I felt like I wanted to shred my clothes off because I felt like I was hot. So hearing that kind of stuff from law enforcement was really stupid to me. And so anyway, but all of those scenarios, you break all this thing down using common sense, not what police want you to hear, what they want you to believe, but using common sense, then you'll see how much ludicrous and how crazy, and to a point where you start thinking it's some type of cover up from law enforcement, right? So you start looking at these things that are there, especially when you give them hard physical evidence that suggests foul play, and they decide to stop talking to you because of that, and go hire their own private investigator that would did one specific thing: deny that this vehicle had that this vehicle been anywhere else but there. And this person who done that wrote a full report on their report, haven't seen that vehicle at all, haven't physically touched it, haven't examined no damages on it, nothing. Nothing had didn't examine the clothing. Then I don't doubt if he even came to the scene, because if you come to the scene and you do the measurements like my investigative done, it's impossible. And we did that too, you guys. We use desert vehicle, lighter vehicle that's made for that terrain to try to get up to 30-something miles per hour. Is impossible to do with that terrain. The way that terrain is, especially the distance, it did not match and did not add up. My investigator tried it with those vehicles. We tried it with the vehicle. It does not work. It does not happen. But law enforcement wants you to say it did happen, despite of science. They want you to defy science too. So the thing is, you guys, so those kind of things, the details that I had to put out there as well, is the reason why you say where we're going to go forward is to get Dane's case moved to a proper place. And even with that, you guys, it's not going to say I'm going to get it put over to a different department and just wish for the best. No, at the same time, we still have to make sure that things are done the correct way. All right. Thank you so much, Melissa, for being here. They fly at night in Phoenix. 5 people. They do. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. The Phoenix Firebird. I know that's probably what it is. In Phoenix. Now I was living in Phoenix, and I seen at night Camelback Mountain, especially. I go down 44th Street in Camelback, and you go to Camelback Mountain. You can see sometimes riding through there. You can see helicopters flying around that mountain up there. And I found out they do that because some hiker go up there and get stuck or whatever the case may be, injured or whatever the case may be, and they go get these people. So they fly at night all the time. You know, so yes, that's that story that he couldn't go out the first night that Daniel was missing. That was also a lie too from the Buckeye Police Department. Let's go. Thanks so much for being here. I haven't stopped praying for your entire family. Thanks so much. We need that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Barry, for being here again. How was Ken Elliott interviewed? I do not know. Like I said, I bet you they call him on the phone. I guarantee you that. Was it by phone? Yes, I guarantee that. Or did he go down to the police station? I doubt that. So like I told you guys, you will not see anything of anything stating about bringing somebody in or anything else. I doubt it. And if they do, you'll see. I guarantee it'll be now that we're talking about it. They say, yeah, in 2023, we brought Ken in for questioning. Why you didn't do that on day one? That type deal. You just take a man's story, didn't do like I did, trace that story, see if it makes sense. It's funny, you guys. They take Ken's story and they put in their report. If you guys look at what I put here, I came out to Arizona. I think it was on the 28th or 20. I put on Twitter, you guys, the date, timestamp when I went out there to meet Ken. I mean, a couple of days. I've told you guys that's one of the first missions I did when I got my foot hit the ground in Phoenix. My boots hit the ground. One of my missions was the first person I wanted to see is Ken. He gonna have to look me in my eye, man to man, and tell me that BS story that I've been hearing from law enforcement. That's how I felt. And so, but when that man told me a different story with the thing where he stayed left of the tracks to, he knew the police gonna come looking, this thing was gonna become national, which he's right, it did, and the police did come looking. So I don't know how he foresaw that a couple of days after Dan was missing. He knew this thing's gonna become national, right? Because it's gonna be a big story. And also all this other stuff about the red spraying the paint, rocks with red paint and all this kind of stuff he was talking. Tell him all that with the witness. I had 2 witnesses with me. My daughter's one. Did y'all read that in the police report? No, because they selective put what they want in the report. I call it selective stuff because they put ludicrous stuff in. Like I told you guys, I even examined that. I went behind Buckeye and made sure everything they said in that report was true. I sat in the board meeting with Matrix New World and the husband, the board members, as well as Daniel's boss and some others, right? And get the ins and out about Daniel's job, about how he, that job, that company, and some things, right? And one of the things they told me is that they rarely ever see their field geologists. That's why they call them field geologists. They work in the field geology. They give them a laptop. They get their work assignments off their computer, their work computer. They don't come into the office. The guy that Daniel hang out with will see him off the job. Don't say Daniel don't see them at all, because they have seen some of them every rare occasion. Say that they go eat breakfast or something sometimes. So that's how they know Daniel. Of course, he's a coworker. He's a worker for that company. But the field geologists rarely ever come into that office. During the time when Daniel went missing, Daniel have not been in that office for a while, right? But then at the same time, Buckeye put in their report, excuse me, that coworkers with a plural said that he's been acting odd and strange, right? When did they have the opportunity to observe Daniel acting odd or strange, right? He's a field geologist. They haven't seen him enough to make those kind of assessments about Daniel. The only person who was unable to say that, didn't say the things he said, it was right or not, is that one person, Roger. You guys know that's Daniel's friend on that job, because he and Daniel do hang out after work. I don't know if Daniel hung out with him prior to that, because I don't see anything so far to say that he's been hanging out with Daniel prior to him going missing, like, within those couple of days or the day before, the night or whatever. But the only person I can think would have that kind of information to know if he was acting odd or strange would be him. One person. But Buckeye have a history of that, because they use plurals when it's convenient for them. Sorry, when it not plural, but yeah, plurals. I said singular. I'm sorry, singular, plural. I'm getting those things mixed up. But anyway, they are using more than one person. They like to say on their things when there's only one, right? So that's what I'm looking at. So that's those things right there. I don't know how they brought Ken in or talked to him, but I think it's more likely it's been over the phone. Because one thing for sure, if I had those kind of powers that law enforcement have, I'll be digging into his cell phone history. I'll be digging into his cell phone ping history, where he was located, who he's talked to, all that kind of stuff. He's the last person seen this person. I would have been digging into him really deep, his background, where he's come from. Is he related to anybody that Daniel came in contact in the past? One thing I noticed about Ken, you guys, again, I said it on the Q&A the other day. Wasn't the Q&A, but it's something that came on a weekday. Is if you guys listen to this, listen to his recording I had, and the story is that Daniel have never seen this guy. He never been to, think about this, you guys. I just thought about something too. If you think about it, if you listen to what he was saying, I thought I had to still hear on my presets, but I wanted y'all to hear Ken's voice when he said, telling Daniel not to come up to this well, right? Now, Daniel have never talked to this man before. Never seen him. Don't know who he is. He just know he's supposed to be going up to the Sun Valley Parkway to meet somebody, a representative from wherever. Now, I'm sure Daniel probably got his number or something from his job or something. I'm not sure, because when I think about it, his name is loaded into Daniel's phone. So when you go look at the phone call record, it does have Ken's name there, right? So out of Daniel put it in there and say, yeah, this is his name, his number, blah, 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 the guy. But the thing is weird, because Ken said he had never met Daniel before. The job said he never met Daniel before. He never been in this area before. But when Ken says this one thing, and exactly how I can kind of paraphrase a little bit, but not going to get exact, he said, hey, Daniel, like, I know you. Hey, Daniel, don't come up here because of blah, 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 so on, so on, so on. It's almost an appearance like, I know you. Hey, man, like, I've been talking to you in the past. I call you Daniel. It's not Mr. Robinson or, excuse me, sir. Hey, hello, sir. This is, he didn't introduce himself. This is Ken from so on, so on, so on. I mean, he did say he's this Ken from so on, so on, so on. So I want to back that up. But the way that he was saying it, hey, Daniel, like he knows Daniel. The other part is, if Daniel have never been to that location before, or even haven't met him before, I'm saying that number is there. It's some little things that kind of doesn't make sense when he saying, hey, Daniel, that type deal. Like he really know Daniel. And so the point is, I'm saying, you guys, those things should be examined too. And those things should be in that report, is on Daniel's side when it comes. They want to put this Caitlin girl text messages. Let's see the text message between him and that he sent to Ken and the timestamp. And then when you guys see those things like I put on the timeline here on this Q&A, you'll say it doesn't go right with his assessment, his story. Even if he said he changed the time to 9:30, said that Daniel left at 9:30. Okay, if he left 9:30, why he's calling you at 9:28 still? And why he's calling you. And said the whole point is if he was leaving. So, but I'll definitely go by the first story, the initial story. That's what he said the first night on the 23rd, what happened. It's fresh in his mind. He had the time right. And he said it was at 9 o'clock when they received. They got their website 9:15. Daniel's gone. And that's what the officers put in those initial times. All right. So anyway, thank you, Barry, for that. And let's see if I get any more questions, because I would over talk and I'm running out of time. It's hour 43 minutes. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and ask these questions. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. I just want to put your comment there. How were any witnesses' statement taken by phone or police station? And that's the thing, yeah. I guarantee you it'll be a bunch of phone calls. Yeah. My daughter and I was the only one I could think of that have been in an interrogation room. I have never been in one until Buckeye Police Department into our life. My daughter either. Never been inside a interrogation room. We're not criminals. Don't have no reason to have been in the interrogation room. Brought in through the back of the police department, not the front door. That type deal. All right, so were you able to? Thanks so much, Team Wildflower. Were you able to have someone independently review the work laws? Daniel took picture of. I tried that as some guy in New York, and I felt really something about that, and I retracted from that. I haven't found anybody since that time to look into those things. Geologist, somebody I can feel like I can trust. Hopefully I can start working on that again. T and Wildflower. Yeah, because I would like to know those laws, what's on those laws and what they mean. And I almost can't imagine. Daniel was taking those pictures for a reason, because hindsight, we know that the governor, the old former governor of Arizona, was hiding those reports for whatever reason. And then the new governor come in now and release those to the public. So I almost thinking that they probably have something related to that. Daniel saw that. The kind of person Daniel is, he's going to tell the truth, you guys. He's going to look out for people. That's what I do. That's kind of family we are. And he see that area will not produce the water that it does not. We know now it don't have enough water. He would have said something, and that was way back then. He would have said something. He maybe took laws to make sure it get out. He's going to try to give it to somebody. Hey, look, this land do not support. It does not support the community that's trying to be built out there right now. And I really believe that. I really believe that from the bottom of my heart. That's something that Daniel would do, and that has a lot to do with the reason why he probably took those laws, the pictures of those laws. I have a feeling it has something to do, because think about it, it has something to do with that well, that groundwater. And he took pictures of it for, I'm sure, that reason. And one thing that was kind of getting me to you guys, Major New World was on that really hard. And I hope Jeff McGrath, my ex-investigator, did not do something I asked him specifically, straightforward, not to do. Couple things. He said they was harassing me for those samples that Daniel had. I didn't know what samples were, but Daniel had the samples from, I'm sure, that well or wherever from inside his vehicle. And they literally told me this, Matrix New World, and they were asking me for it. And I told them no. I said my son's vehicle is under investigation. No, nothing's coming out of that vehicle. I directed my investigator the same thing. When that vehicle take to the facility it is at now, currently, nothing comes out of that vehicle. Nobody get it, right? Because I need those things forensically tested. I need everything tested, right? Whatever going on to my son. So I'm praying to God, because I know I have inventory of those things, you guys. I haven't touched that vehicle being close, but I have good detailed pictures of things that was in that vehicle and the way they were. So the thing is, they need to still be there. And I saw when Detective Biff opened that door and I saw it on the ground, I know what those bags were and things like that. I later found out by other geologists and his company, those are samples. And so of what was in that water, what's consistent in that land, all kind of stuff, whatever. And I don't know why Daniel, about that log or whatever, why he did all of that, but I'm sure it has something to do with that whole big water situation that we know now don't exist for the support of that new community that's supposed to be built out there. So, all right, thanks so much. Question to you, Wildflower. Thank you, Terry D, for your question. What are their thoughts about Mr. Elliott's statement that Daniel was staring off into the desert with a distant look in his eyes? Is that concerning to you? It would have been concerning to me if I believed it. One of the things is I initially was lied to the whole entire time, which well that Daniel was last seen at. And the well that they pointed me out to, I actually, when I first did my very first well desert search out there with volunteers, the first place, you guys know the first place I was going in that desert, and it was the well site. Major New World, Dan's boss was the lead to get me there to this location. The young lady I was riding with from South Carolina, she and I followed him and Matrix New World's people that came out to the search. It was about 4 of them. And anyway, we got into that desert. I was really feeling all kind of ways, and we got to that little T junction where they were talking about, and they stopped. And they didn't know which way to go, and then they said, because they told me now, this Matrix said they've been to this well before, or we've been here before, and all this stuff. They stopped, trying to figure out what happened. They said, "Oh yeah, we're just trying to make sure we're going the right place." So we got up the road. Make a long story short, they took us to the wrong place. Took us to some corral that was there. North is like south of the first well site. And then they eventually told me the well site, they went through the bushes. Oh, this is where the well is. It's right here. This is the well site. They told us that. And ever since then, you guys, I believe in that was the well. They directed me there, said this is well site. But when you listen to Ken's story, then I realized that it's the one north of that with all that stuff in it, you guys. And that happened last year, last part of last year. And I realized that being lied to the whole entire time about where this location of this well was. But anyway, what are your thoughts about his statement? He's staring off. Like I said, when I got to that well site for the first time, that wrong well site, I got out of the vehicle, tried to put myself in my son's shoes, and I looked around, and in that area, because of Hansiyapa River, where the vehicle's found, the brush is very low, about almost waist high. But on that side of the desert, near the Hansiyapa River, is fresh, plenty of water that runs through there when the monsoon season, so things there kind of grow kind of thick and lush. And it was high, and it was close to the well. And I'm like, okay, if he was standing here, what he would be looking at? The brushes? He couldn't look, he can't even stare off into the desert. Even if you go to the second well site where he actually was at, hindsight, you won't be able to see too far, but you can see a lot better out to the desert. I don't see his whole reasoning why he's saying, even bringing up Daniel's staring off to the desert, to the point that he's saying he was saying things that didn't make sense to him. Like, if you listen to the story, it's almost like they had a longer. If you got there at 9 o'clock and he was going by 9:15, I mean, how long is the conversation for almost 15 minutes can be? Where if you're saying that you can do some kind of assessment about a person in that little short of time, where you felt like you had to look in their eyes, and then now he's adding even extra things. You know, he said this at the beginning, it's not an important thing like that. But now he going to interviews and stuff, and now say, yeah, he was even running around in circles or some crazy crap you're saying. So he started adding a little bit of things, details to it to say that it was something he was doing. Daniel was doing something odd and strange that make him feel a certain way or something, right? The other part is because of his reaction when I met him on the 28th of a couple of days after Daniel went missing. And his first initial take, the guy was asking suspect then. The Matrix tell him I was at the gate waiting on him, right? They the one set it up for me to meet the man. I sat there at the gate with my daughter and another young lady, and we sat there at the gate. We saw a vehicle showed up. You guys see it on Twitter. The picture I have there. If you guys go to my Twitter, please help find 4. You guys can see the picture I have there of this other guy. That wasn't Ken. I'm gonna put other pictures up, Ken, and all this kind of stuff later today. But so I'm starting to do this timeline thing for you guys. But the thing is, this guy came up, some strange dude. I thought it was Ken. Of course, I seen a white pickup truck pulling up. I thought it was Ken. The guy turned around, the vehicle around, and kind of backed the car towards the gate. I got out, start talking to him. Hey, how you doing, sir? My name David Robinson, blah, blah. Found out he wasn't Ken. I can't remember. He never told me his name. And I said, he just started asking me questions like what I want with Ken. I said, I just came to answer some questions. You know, my son was missing. I just asked some questions about what happened. He said he was the last one to see my son, and he'd ask him some questions. And this guy just kept questioning me why, whoever he was. Real heavy set guy. But then I said, no, I said, I really need to talk to Ken. get the assessment from him because I'm doing my own investigation, you guys. The guy then from that point, he said, well, I'll take you to Ken. I said, well, how far is this well? He said, oh, it's about 12, 15 miles, some crazy, outrageous distance thing. And I guess he was saying it for my daughter and the young lady because they was right there listening to everything. Oh, I said, that far? It take that long to get there? He said, yeah, it take a good while. It's going to take a good while, though, to get there, right? I said, no, that's too far. That's too far. I'm not going. And he started saying, come on, come on, get in the truck with me. And he has a bunch of trash on the passenger side of the his truck, and he was throwing it on the floor, all this trash. I mean, like food trays or something. And it was really, really bad. But anyway, throwing it on the floor. I said, come on. I said, no, man. I said, I'm not leaving these ladies at the gate. No, that's not going to happen. I said, you can have Mr. Ken to come on up to the gate. So what he ended up doing from that point is he got on his phone with the door open. I'm still standing there. And he dialed Ken and said, hey, Ken, he started talking. He said, hold on for a second. Told Ken to hold on for a second. He pulled the truck forward. He pulled out of earshot so I can't hear him. They had their little conversation, whatever they had to say. Then he backed the truck back up to the gate. And then he said, well, Ken said he's on the way up. Okay, great. We sat there for a good while. Sure enough, Ken showed up with his utility truck, white utility truck. And the first thing he did when he got a truck, he got out. He opened his utility box and put his hand in there. Military guy, like myself, the first thing I'm doing is watching your hands because we're trained to do that, right? So watching this guy's hand, I think he was going to try to use a weapon or something. He's very on the defensive. You can look at his body language. He's very defensive. I figured he was defensive because he didn't know where I was coming, like I was angry or something. I didn't appear to be angry or anything. Which I wasn't. I had no reason to be angry. This is the guy that's last seen my son. I needed to know some information, but I just didn't believe the story that's hearing it from the cops. I want to hear this guy say what police told me he said. So I explained who I am and what I was there for. And then I could see his body language change. He moved away from his vehicle. We started talking one-on-one. And the young ladies, my daughter, was standing there listening. He started telling me, I mean, when I say you guys, he told me the story about what his assessment of what happened. It was exactly like he wrote it down. I'm just saying this is my way of feeling about it. Like he wrote it down and he told the officers and he remembered it. Like you could stand in the mirror and remember exactly what you said because the wording that Officer Cruz told me that night, it was exact in order exactly what Officer Cruz told me he said. So I said, okay, that's great. Okay. So we started talking about other things concerning the well itself. And then he started saying things. I said, he said, man, I wish I could have done something. And I'm like, okay. I said, man, it's not your fault. It's a tactic I use from military to be friend because I felt something with his demeanor, his body language started shifting again. And I saw like, okay, well, it's a tactic to like befriend a person, make them feel like they are comfortable. And so I was using those techniques to make him feel comfortable. He felt comfortable. He started saying, man, yeah, if I don't know your son, I knew his mannerism, I would have known something was going on or whatever the case may be, or something he was saying out of other. Oh, man, it's not your fault. I'm like, man, don't worry about that, Ken. It's not your fault. You did the best you can. Right? That. And so he was like, yeah. And then he started going back over the story again. When he went over the story again, that's when he started adding in. He's standing left to the tracks to make sure he didn't disturb him because, make sure he stayed left of the tracks so he didn't disturb those tracks because he said he knew that that the police were going to come looking and this thing was going to go national. And so he stayed at the tracks. He got to the T Johnson. And he said he knows that the tracks went to the left. Went to the right, went out west to the out there in the desert. He said he stayed left of that and made it. He followed it for a whole mile. He made it to a gate. He went through he opened his gate. There's a wooden gate. He went through the gate and he drove for another mile or so. And he got out again on foot, started walking around, went on top of a higher elevation hill so he could see it from a distance. If you could see Dane's vehicle from a distance. Then he said he proceeded to get his red paint and started painting these rocks with red paint so he can direct the police department to where this vehicle was going where Dane's vehicle tracks was taking him. But you guys, I'm telling you a couple things. When I look at what his story is. When I trace those tracks myself and listen to his story, even though I don't believe that vehicle was out there for 30 days, but if you listen to the story, some people say that Daniel got lost, right? He left that well site and he got confused. He ended up going west instead of going east to go back to Sun Valley Parkway. It's impossible, guys, for him to get lost because when you get to the T-junction, it goes left or right. And if you have to go left to go back to Sun Valley Parkway, you go right to go farther out into the desert. But you don't go west. It goes west for probably a couple hundred feet, and then it will start veering off to the south. So actually going south into the desert, not west. But anyway, the thing is, that's when you come up to this gate. And that's the point I'm making, you guys. Once you leave that T-junction, you go out into the east, go back to Sun Valley Parkway, Daniel would have known how to get back to that road because I'm sure he would have saw the White Tank Mountain sitting there. But they're saying he went out to the desert, right? He went west a little bit and went south. But it would have dawned on him that he was going the wrong direction because as soon as you go west, like I said, a few hundred feet, you start going south. And when you go south, a few hundred feet from there, you hit this wooden gate. They didn't know he didn't come in through a wooden gate. And if he did come up, he know that he was on the side of the road. As soon as you pull on the side of the road, the gate is right there. So you have to go through the gate off the side of the road. Where's the road at is what I'll be asking myself. So you're not going to purposely open a gate that you have to shut back at that, a wooden gate at that. There was no metal gate that you came in the first time. So now you know it's a different gate. You go in that gate, you pass in a substation, electric station and all that stuff, and you not feeling like you lost, that's BS. And if they say that he did it just on purpose somehow, he just wanted to go, why would he go into somebody's gate, that says back then, keep the gate closed and no trespassing. He going to somebody else's gate. I don't believe all of that. So the point is, I'm saying this guy's saying that he went through this gate, and when you describe it, you follow him exactly what he said. Don't you know, when you go through that gate, he drove another mile, he said, and he got out on foot, and he went up on this little hill embankment. If you go up on this hill embankment, if you do exactly how he said, and towards where the vehicle eventually will be found, it'll take you right there to where the vehicle was found. His story. So the thing is really crazy to me that you can put all these correlations together with this Elliott story, and you don't think nothing of it from law enforcement standpoint. Also, that's got to be on purpose, and I think it is because of a lot of relations that may be there. Barry, thank you so much for your question. I'm over the 2 hour. What time is and where did the person who presented? Okay, let me start it back over. What time and where did the person who presented as FBI agent claims to have seen Daniel in the desert? And that thing I wanted to talk to some people I had talked to yesterday. Excuse me, guys. That I want to talk to yesterday about that part, Barry, is the fact that that did come a time after that, you guys. And you guys probably remember, those who've been following the story for a while probably remember that there was a time that it was a guy that showed up in one of the searches. I think it was it's sometime after the vehicle showed up though, and I would get those dates. But anyway, the guy showed up to the search. He was brought to me by one of my it was my search coordinator at the time, and he brought him to me and he said, "Hey, this guy said he's seen your son. He's seen your son that day he went missing, and he's a federal law enforcement officer." That's what he told me. The guy introduced himself. I ain't gonna say his name here. He pulled out a badge. The guys showed me his badge to show that he's actually a federal law enforcement officer. I said, okay. But I'm not a person that try to judge people, and it's hard to judge people. I try not to be, stereotypical or whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be, I try to give people benefit of doubt. But some reason for this guy, I didn't believe it. I was like, this don't, he didn't match his face, his posture. I think of people like that be more of military feel. Sometimes you look like you look at a police officer, for instance, or a military person, and you find them in the street in their regular civilian clothes. Sometimes you can look at a police officer and be like, man, you a police officer. you look at them, you can tell, you can smell it on them or something. I did not get that feeling from this guy. So I kind of dismissed them off. Make a long story, I told him go ahead and have him go talk to my investigator. Put that on my investigator. To put it on my investigator, Miss McGrath. And so I left that alone. But then they came back. Miss McGrath came back and said, yeah, he vetted the guy's story. He talked to this guy and vetted his story. He's out there. So they eventually started telling me, yeah, he was out there. He seen your son last. Right. So we started putting that in the public. I put that in my family press conference. You guys seen that. Mr. McGrath sitting next to me. Even then I felt weary about it. So that's why you kind of saw me say law enforcement. And he said, yeah, he's a federal law enforcement officer, right? I'm like, okay, yeah. So I put that in my family press conference with you guys know that Dateline was there out there in the desert with me at the time. And I was putting this out there in the public, right? This guy, he did change his story. He said, I went into detail. He came to me after that point, and he and I have a long discussion about what he saw. So, because I had to do my investigator doing the investigation. I have always been doing my own independent investigation. He's doing an investigation. So I have an investigation on a lot of parts. And also I have another person that I didn't name, who also is a private investigator. He's been doing an investigation of his own in his own type. So I have investigations going all different directions, right? One don't really know about the other, but just in a sense. But to be able to I can get all these answers from different places, even from Buckeye. What I can get I can get from them, the little nothing that they do. And also I was having all this information coming in at one time, but this guy came back. He told me that he saw my son around 1 o'clock that day. Him and his children was out target practicing in the area. And he said he first saw my son. He said he saw him twice. He saw him the first time he was target practicing. He saw him through the scope of his rifle. That made me feel a certain way because, we don't orient our weapons towards anybody, right? That just one-on-one gun stuff, right? Weapon stuff. And so it made me feel a certain way, but, he didn't say I fired or something. I was looking for a deer and I fired towards him. And, luckily I didn't hit him or something like that crazy. He just said he saw him through the scope of his rifle. Made me feel uneasy hearing that. Okay. And he said he later again, he moved to a different place and he saw Daniel Jeep on the side of the Wagner Wash riverbed. He saw him sitting there, at the vehicle sitting there. He said, hey, that's the same vehicle I saw through the scope of my rifle. And so he told me that he approached the vehicle, him and his children, and he saw Daniel doing something. He had the driver door open, and he was doing something in the vehicle. He was cleaning his vehicle out, just cleaning his vehicle. All right, okay. A couple things I asked him. I said, do you smell any marijuana thing? Oh, no, I know about weed. No, nothing, no marijuana, nothing. Right, okay. What happened? He told me that, Daniel, he said hello to him, and Daniel was standing at the door. He said, standing at the door with the door open, and they had the conversation. And then when Daniel kind of stepped away from the door, that's when he realized that he had a missing right hand. And he said, Daniel told him, he said, hey, is this a good place to target practice? And Dan told him, hey, no, this is not a good area. We work here. I work here. I work in this area. We work in this area. This is not the right place that you're supposed to target practice. He said Daniel gave him directions to where he should go to target practice. He said you go over on this side, and he pointed him out to where he need to go and target practice with his kids. Say Daniel's very mild-mannered, very nice conversation, real nice to his kids, and that was the end of it. The story of this guy's story changed once my investigator got the information back about the infotainment system from California that says the first accident that happened with my son's vehicle was at 1:00 p.m. that day. When he heard that, he changed his story. He said, oh, I seen your son at 10:00 a.m. I saw him around 10:00 that morning. Changed from 1:00 that day so that put suspect to me as well. And then later, as I was trying to get all the information I can about this guy, he was really open to talk to me. I didn't let him know that I was really doubtful his story. I'll try to get everything I can out of him first, right? Until this internet sleuth person, I've got his name. He's on Twitter a lot. I had some issues with Twitter people who was really forcefully trying to, they were doing some forceful stuff. To make a long story short, and one decided to come out to a search. I was out of town. My family begged my mother, wanted me to come home for, I think it was a Thanksgiving or something. And but I still directed my then search coordinator to hold a little small search or whatever. He said he's gonna handle that while I was gone. And the thing was, he showed up or whatever, and he was supposed to be upset that he didn't talk to me somehow. I missed him, I missed him. He's supposed to be the supporting person, I guess, and I was supposed to give him all my attention or whatever the case may have been. So he decided upon himself, you guys, to go out and spread spread information he found out about this guy. I mean, it wasn't good information, to be honest with you. It was really bad information. I found out some things about this guy that's a lie. He'd been impersonating law enforcement before, so that was a lie. He's not a federal law enforcement officer. He lied about that. He also has some other things that I'm not going to put out there in the public. The other guy did. He put all this guy's information out there. His whole thing is about him out in public. I have not, because it's not my place. And the thing was that, but because he did that, he destroyed my opportunity to get more information from this guy, because I seen at this point as him as a suspect, and also the ability to continue to talk to this guy. And so he destroyed all of that, this internet snoof person. But you know what I'm saying, but I was able to get enough information from this guy before we depart, not being able to talk anymore. But the point is, I say, you guys, I did consult with the Buckeye Police Department still, because they're law enforcement agents. And they say they believe it. So we vetted his story. He was out there. I don't know how they vetted his story, but in January of 2022, Detective Biffin told me that they vetted his story. He was out there. He's seen your son. They still, I'm sure, sticking by that. I don't know if it's in the report, their report, but they're sticking by this guy. I said, well, what about him lying about being a federal law enforcement officer and this thing that he got going on? Well, that don't mean nothing to them. They don't mean that, well, we believe his story. Okay, I don't believe his story, but they do. That's law enforcement. They believe stuff like that, but don't want to believe the other things, right? That's really important. So the thing is, they believe his story, and they want to believe that this guy is been out there seeing Daniel at out of 1 o'clock or 10 o'clock, as he stated. Right. So that kind of thing. So, but anyway, this guy, yeah, he's going now. I don't know what his status is, but those are one of the things that I'm also including into the new investigation that hopefully Maricopa County, FBI, whoever can get into and look into these things. All right. So my packet. All right. Thank you also, Terry D, for your question. Is it true that that it was Daniel's second job of the day? Yeah, he went to one well site, and then he's supposed to went to that second one. They went to the first well site, I guess, to I don't know what the purpose he went to the first well site, you guys, outside, because usually, and that's kind of different too. Usually when I talk to Daniel, sometimes I talk to him at night, he'd be at these well sites. Sometimes I talk to him in the daytime, he'd be at these sites. This time I didn't talk to him, but they said that he went to the first well site. I don't know what reason, because he didn't go meet nobody, according to. So that was different. He going out to some well site by himself, but not to meet anybody. But he did take the picture of the laws. So I don't know if Dane said I'm going. Did they say you need to take a picture of these laws or something? I don't know, because I just know Dane did something he hadn't done before. So he didn't one, but then yes, there was a second well site. 2 jobs. If so, did anything out the ordinary happen while at the first site? And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't know about anything out of the ordinary. I just know that anything near that well site was that vehicle that fit Dane's description, the vehicle that fit the description that was there 2 days before. They said his vehicle showed up in the desert. So that's the only thing that's related to that to me. Sorry, you guys, I'm skipping down from these comments to the questions. So if you got questions, that's all I'm just looking for. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes into this Q&A. Let's see here. Madison, thank you so much for off the Facebook side. I know this question on the back end, the question mark on the back end, so I'm grabbing it. Did you guys find out who the cell phone belongs to? Well, one of them belongs to my son. The other 2, no, I don't know who they belong to. And those 2 were found out there doing my desert searches. And but no, I don't know the other 2, but I do know the one that was found by Buckeye at the crime scene where the vehicle showed up, that belongs to my son. But the other two that was found during my searches near the same area, we don't know who that belongs to just yet. Pacific Breeze, thank you so much for your question. Is there a plan to put a timeline chart of events of Daniel's case on the website or here on YouTube? Yes, it's Big Ten. You know, it's one of those things. To say going forward, also with this Q&A this morning, you guys, I say where we go from here. I've been telling you guys I was going to put in my own family. Like police have their police report. We're gonna have my report too, but my report could be consistent of a lot of things. It's not not be necessary for you guys, but it's gonna be consistent of recordings that these officers cannot say they haven't said or done. It's gonna be timelines. It's gonna be just everything evidence wise, but it's gonna be all tied together. Just like they have evidence, we have evidence as well, but it's gonna be tied in with the timeline of events. What I said, what people said, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Who, when, where, and how. So all that stuff gonna be put together. It's a process. That's something I couldn't do that I said I was gonna do a long time ago. Just couldn't find the time, you guys, in between trying to do searches, to getting flyers out, to doing interviews, to investigating, to you name it. I have found a little time to do timeline. So this month right here, my team and I were getting together collectively and finish this timeline that I started. So yeah, those timelines will be added to a public part of that will be added to. I'll talk about on this Q&A. Yeah, I'll be sharing on social media and also on the website. So yes, I will be doing that real soon. So that's gonna be a lot of hard work. I took a deep breath on that because I know that was part of what I was supposed to be doing starting on today. As a matter of fact, like I said, we were talking about it just yesterday, Pacific Breeze, finalizing this thing. But I'll take a deep breath because I know that means I'm not going to get into sleep. So I took a deep breath on it because I know what it is. I have to make sure all the information I have on these different things all compile together. And once I get them together, team, we all tackle it at and put them in order. And so it's going to take a little moment, but it's a lot of work. But it's going to be one of those, for me, not for the team, but for me, it's going to be a day and night job. So for the next few days, you guys may see a slow on my social media movements and things like that, because that's what I'll be working on. Also, Sean, thank you so much. Are you aware of if your investigator checked to see if there was any video footage around where his Jeep was sighted prior to being found in the desert? No, he did not. So one of the things is it's a couple of places. There's a what's the name of that dollar store, Dollar General, I think the name of it, that's there. They may have had cameras. There's a lot of missed opportunity that's there. A lot of times these cameras hold things for only 30 days. So, unless somebody had a reason to record, because I have, for instance, my home has video footage like that. We have cameras. Some people have rings and all kind of stuff, but we have real cameras. I mean, really good cameras. And we have rings around the neighbors. So, for instance, as an example. And I know with my cameras, if I don't want to, for some reason, record something, it just it overwrites over 30 days. Most cameras are like that. But if I want to record something, I can record it. It goes to the hard drive or whatever case may be, and I keep those things forever, right? So unless somebody was sitting there recording on that day when that footage was there, it'd be hard to say something hadn't been overwritten for over almost 2 years now. So hopefully, for some reason they recorded something from that Dollar General. And they have cameras out there. I don't know if they do or not. They may have caught something. The area where that vehicle was found, there was the housing was, I'm thinking, not in eye shot of the area. But yeah, is him doing that? No, I don't know. But getting footage of that area where that vehicle was spotted. So I don't know. A lot of things I don't know if he did. So I'm still waiting on things he said anyway, we'll get into this some other day too. Country Girl, thanks so much for your question. If I remember correctly, Daniel and his sister had a SOS emergency code when they set up? When did they set that up? They probably set it up when they first came out to Arizona. Well, Daniel was out to Arizona first, then she came along, but they probably set that up sometime after that. But yeah, the way it works is that because they're from South Carolina, my children again took my advice, which I'm grateful to expand their horizons and leave South Carolina because the world is bigger than South Carolina. And I want to make sure they be able to experience that type of things in life for themselves, the young people. And they went out to Arizona. Daniel was out there first. Of course, he tried to convince me to live in Arizona too. He just loved Arizona. I'm sure he must have convinced his sister. She wanted to come out there. And she's still there enjoying her life. But the thing, and when I say enjoy life, she's really loved Arizona as well. But the thing is, they're the only two family-wise. Everybody else away from them in different states. And so those two have each other. They hang out together. They go to each other's house, eats, and, so on and so on. They're brothers and sisters, right? So it's natural to build some kind of safety mechanism, which my daughter wanted to swap keys or whatever for each other's place. But, hey, Danny's an independent guy. He didn't want that. But the thing is, but the emergency part of it is something they set up. If something was to go wrong, they had their little code, and that's what they ended up doing. Daniel was doing that night from the Waffle House situation to the way he put it after he came back. And I was on the phone with my daughter at the time as he was just doing it to see how fast she react. That was his wording. So he just seeing how fast it went. So I don't know if it was actual emergency. He just not trying to play it off, or he was doing or he was thinking it might be an emergency eventually, and he's seeing if she's going to be able to respond. But he did do a test on that, almost like you would test your fire alarm. I hope you do every year, especially this weekend when you need to change your batteries, you guys, for your smoke detectors in your house. Don't wait till it start making a little chirp sound. It's better you go ahead and change it when the time go back and things like that. So that's good ways to try to remember it. All right. Lonnie, I'm about to put your comment there. I said I was going to look for straight questions, but I know how you feel. And I had to put this up. Buckeye Police Department is run like a criminal organization. I agree. Led by Chief Larry Hall. Excuse me. There's more than enough to open a criminal investigation on Buckeye PD and Daniel being missing. Yes. And it'd be on both, like you said, criminal investigation on the disappearance of my son, and there should be a criminal investigation on the Buckeye Police Department as well. And the reason why I could say that, and I know Larnell can agree, is that several things. The falsification on documents is something that Buckeye have a history of, right? Chief Larry Hall, for instance, got suspended because of those falsification of Buckeye of falsification of documents. You guys, so that's corruption, right? But instead of them firing this guy and getting rid of him totally, they gave him some type of promotion at one point, make him some kind of assistant city manager at first. Then now he's back as chief again. I mean, he's always been chief. To make a long story short, always been in charge. So they let them get rid of him for every reason. That's the city of Buckeye, city managers. They love this criminal stuff, obviously, in my opinion. And the thing is, it's some other little things. You got the department guy was stealing people's information, law enforcement now, stealing people information, you guys out there. So there's a lot of things of corruption that have been going on in the department, and they're still the same players there, right? The other part is also the fact with the Buckeye Police Department is the fact that the way that they handle Daniel's cases, period. If you guys, let's say, when I said about that police report being falsified, they also falsified, in my opinion, the report. That's why you see they pull it off the things, because I start talking about these things of the one they have about Daniel. Guys, when I first got the police report from the Buckeye Police Department, Chief Hall directly, it was a partial report. The meeting I had a few days after that vehicle showed up in that desert, they gave me a partial report, and he promised me a full report. During the time we were supposed to have some kind of talking order before we gave them information, said otherwise. They was fine with me then, have really open dialogue. They gave me his phone, his personal number, all this stuff, right? So once they like I said, they get the partial report. He told me Detective Biffin, when he was finished writing, finalizing that full report, finished writing his part, they gonna give me the final report. And they call it, this is where they use final report. And to back that up, you guys, like I told you on social media, came out and said they had more leads to follow. But when they gave my investigator, when I got my investigator, because I didn't believe their story, they gave my investigator didn't go pull that data from that vehicle. They gave my investigator that data from that vehicle that was pulled. They pulled from that vehicle. They didn't read it right, you guys. That's why y'all know nothing about 11 additional miles, all because they can't even read the report. That's the crazy part about it. This is the police department now. But they gave it to him and they told him, he told me, and they told him that they are not investigating Daniel's case. They are done with it. It's closed, basically. They closed it, right? Gave him the final report too, gave me the final report, unredacted. I have an unredacted version, right? Finalized. And they moved on until you guys' thing became national and I was gave them all the hard evidence that say foul play. That's when they all of a sudden pretended like they've been always investigating still. They still pretended like they all this kind of stuff, right? That's going on that you guys hear now. But then you start looking at what I'm saying, the falsification came in when I was going through. I didn't realize it at first, you guys. They kept coming up with these new reports all the time to the public. And people say, man, you seen this on the report? And they tell me things. I'm like, no, they ain't in my report that they gave me. So I don't know what people's talking about. But I went through this with one of the content creators, Q Carlock is her name. And she was going through the new report that they put out. The report, when I say new, is after they gave me this. They put out the public report, and she was going down that report, and I was using the report they gave me, because me and her was reading. She was asking me stuff as going down about the report, so I can fill in my part without feeling about what they say. Don't you know some paragraphs have been changed, the sentence has been changed, and it all been changed to fit this narrative that they got. I'm like, oh, it got so frustrating for me. We stopped. Me and her never completed this going one-on-one because they didn't match. The copy they gave me and the copy they gave the public is two different things. And it's supposed to be an official police report. So I'm saying, that's called, to me, it's called falsifying report. In my opinion, I don't know the legal thing about it, but it's me, that's false. That's what falsification is. When you can change a whole paragraph or you can change sentences. It's a thing called supplementary report, you guys, that's just something you put on the end to kind of correct some things that say, hey, you know what, we didn't put in, for instance, we such. You put supplementary stuff, but you don't change paragraphs and things like that. So that's what I'm learning. I'm learning a lot, you guys, just dealing with this whole thing, but that's what I call falsification. So yeah, all of that need to be investigated from somebody. Somebody, again, you guys, law enforcement listen to this Q&A all the time. If you listen to me right now, you're a law enforcement agent, officer, whatever the case may be, and you see this kind of stuff happening in that apartment, you see what's happening in my son's case, and you're not doing anything outside of trying to make Buckeye look good, trying to help them somehow, then you're a criminal too. You're just like them. There's no such thing as a good police, also a good organization, if you can see corruption, see crime, and don't do something about it. Your job is law enforcement, whether it's law enforcement or not. There's no such thing as a blue that you're looking out for, some club that you're in. When it comes to people's lives and citizens, you need to do something about it. And that's what I feel about it. And I'm going to stand on that. Also, thanks so much, Larnell. Also, Esans, do you know if the investigator used a UV light in the vehicle? No, they did not. When they told us, and that's what I asked them too. I said, I got upset in this meeting, guys. I wish you guys could hear the recording. And y'all would probably end up hearing it one day. But the thing is, them guys said, I asked them, they say, well, the good part, there was no blood. We didn't find no blood in the, no, they didn't say fine. We didn't see any blood that they in this vehicle, right? So when they said see, the word see, I'm a detailed person. And they said see, I'm like, see, how you know no blood? I said, don't y'all, what y'all need to use like luminol or something, some kind of something light, like you were saying, saying some type of light or luminol or something. I said, don't they have something? Because I'm not an expert on things like that, but I just see things on TV, from my days of watching shows and stuff. But anyway, don't y'all have something that could detect blood? Cause I remember my investigator said that he was doing that for Dane's apartment, trying to look for blood. And don't y'all have a little light, some kind of light or some kind of luminol or whatever they call the stuff to check for blood? No, they did not use that because they say they didn't see with their eyes any blood. How you know nobody didn't wipe it up? Whatever the case may be. So it's those kind of things like that because it wasn't an investigation, you guys. So no matter how much they use the word investigating from Buckeye, it wasn't no investigation. Investigation is not ran that way. That was a case, and they was doing that, but looking. Like I told you guys, as you that analogy I always keep using is somebody say, David, go look in this cabinet and see if you can find this grape jar, grape jelly. And I open it up and I look with my eyes like they did for this blood, and I shut it back and say, nope, I don't see it. I could easily say in the report that I looked, I did the search for it, but I didn't look. I didn't pull nothing back to look for it and find it. So I didn't really look. So that's what I'm saying. That's how how they're approaching everything. In my son's case, that's why I want my son's case out of that department. All right, I have John. Thanks so much for your question. Sorry, just logged in. If not asked yet, will there be a new search in ETA? Yes, I hope so. I'm really still working on that. I did have one of my teams. She did reach out to the owners of the land again. One of the players that tried to keep me out of there is no longer in the picture. Thank God. So that may give me an opportunity to get those last bit pockets area that really need to be done too. It's a hard task, you guys. After over a year, getting people out to the search and get motivated and things like that. And for me, it's a no-brainer. I have to really have to get these things done. But you know what? It's a no-brainer for me, but for other people, it'll be kind of difficult. I can't search the desert by myself. So I've been out there many times by myself, but I can't search it by myself. So I need help. All right. Country Girl, thanks so much for being here. Question: if you can't say it, it's okay. Does the pictures that the rancher gave you on the Jeep match the ones the Buckeye Police? I was going to sit them side by side to see. Now, one thing I did have done when I sit them, kind of look at them back to back, like you was talking, I can see how the Buckeye Police Department removing things. If he originally took the pictures, like for instance, a big box that has so-called supposed to be logs and things in it. They pull it out of there and they move things around. I don't know if to look for clues or whatever time at the time or whatever, but they did had a box sitting on top of the vehicle. Then it's back in one picture and back in there. I'm talking Buckeye, so it's been moving around. Little things been moving around. So I can't tell the reason why they did it that way, but they've been moving things. They were moving things around on their picture versus what the rancher gave me is just there. Where I guess it's supposed to be there where it originally was at the time it was pushed down in that ravine. Any more questions? Sean, I want to put your information up there for everybody as I look for another question here. I had to get off you guys. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes. Sorry if you're not able to talk about it, but is there a way to see your well video again? Yeah, I can. I can do it this evening, guys. You guys come back on. Matter of fact, that'll be a good idea. I'll take the pictures that the Buckeye Police Department put up on there. They probably gonna put it down so I can't get it. So I think I already took screenshots of it, but I hope I did. I believe so. But I'll get those pictures and compare to what they're saying was in the well versus what was actually in there, and I can put that video back up. So that's a good idea. You guys come back this evening. I'll talk about the well, what was found in that well, and the reason why the way I was looking at it, and the way I saw the need for the FBI to look into this well, the FBI to resume those things at the well. Unfortunately, the Buckeye Police Department beat them to it, jumped in there and pull out what appears to be coins in a sense, not literally, but I said that because small items, basically, to say to the public, it was nothing in there but a couple of little coins or something, in a sense, bolts and screws or something. But you guys seen everything, which I'm gonna show you this evening, all the stuff that was in there that should have been in their pictures on social media as well. All right, I would do that. So thanks so much. The nurse in me would like to see the possible skull, and I will show it to you as well. So that'd be a good thing. Thank you, Rita, for being here. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for everything you do. You're such a wonderful lady. So thanks so much. I want to throw it out. Sorry in the rush. Would like to say more, but I'm well over my time. So I'm going to rush down. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. Anissa, when did the last landowners where Daniel supposedly went missing take possession of the land? They did that. It was Eldorado Holdings. They did that in 2021. I say around November of 2021. The Howard Hughes Corporation came in on 2022 last year, but 2023 now it is all Howard Hughes Corporation. So it kind of flipped around. The rancher and all them people out there during the time sold those lands, Douglas Ranch and so on, so on, so on. So yeah, it started changing really quickly with this development coming. Sarah, question: how is it this hidden water report not massive red flag for law enforcement? I don't know. Like I'm telling you guys, to me, it's out of purposely done because it's impossible to see certain parallels and don't put them together. Probably because Buckeye Police is loyal to the last governor, and also because if you look at the history, which I did some digging into myself, you'll start figuring out that some of these players, when I say players, law enforcement as well, are investors and people who are tied to this development being a success. So you guys, if you do some real research into that, digging into, you'll find some things that really will shock you, who people are connected with, and why they want this project to go forward. Right? There's a lot of money to be made. All right. Also, is Ken with the development company? I'm not sure. I don't know that he's somewhat. What I see so far, it could be part owner of Weber Waterworks. Shauna, thank you. Don't forget, you guys hit the like, share, subscribe button. Sorry, you guys, I can't hit all the rest of your comments, but I'm really looking forward to the last questions, and I think that was the last question. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you this evening. Please come back to this evening's Q&A, and I will definitely have this. I would work on have the well footage there. I start off with that and then go into other things. So, so you can see just because of that request, I would do that. So thank you so much, you guys. Love you. Thanks so much. I took well over the time I should have, but thanks so much, you guys. Love you all. Thank you guys for all your love, support. Be blessed and have a good evening, a good day.